9,
Yeah.
7,
Dude, I am
6,
totally stoked.
5,
It's
4,
about time.
3,
My God.
2,
Okay, it's happening.
1.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your...
You're listening to Oregon's premier afternoon sports show. This is The Drive.
Welcome, friends, to another edition of The Drive. We made it to Weekend Eve. How y'all doing? Yes, still smoky outside. It's nice and pleasant inside. We got it like a meat locker in here in the Sports Animal. Big show Thursday for you. Welcome on in. Dan Lanning audio. It is Mustang Isaac Streeter. Jamarcus Shepard, will hear from him after the first day of practice for Oregon State. The Godfather, Matt Dompey from the Eugene Emerald, is going to be here. Hour number 3, it'll be our friend Ace, Angie, Machado, Beaver, Blitz. We've got you covered like a blanket here on the Sports Animal. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever and however, sportsanimalEUG.com, all the socials, Sports Animal EUG, on the stream, on the YouTube. Thanks for hopping in. You can contact us here from Bigfoot Beverages Studios on the Oregon Man Clicks hotline, 541-844-3484, toll free, 877-844-3484. Affiliates are testing the waters. We'll be signing on a couple next week. So we will start being statewide with this program. We are just getting started. Big announcement yesterday. Willamette Wolverine football is here on the Sports Animal this fall. I wonder if Kevin James, how long it took him to recover from that scream that he did that was the Indianapolis 500 when he did that. So as we go around the room, it's Goose back in the studio, Steve Mims. Hello.
Hi, Danny.
Hey, bud.
Thanks for having me back.
You showed up.
Yeah, well, I went to the bank today, and it turns out my check hadn't been signed, so I wanted to come back and make sure I was still employed. And turns out it just the owner of the station just didn't sign the check.
You know, here's the thing. I think we need to turn your speaker off.
Oh?
Yeah, turn your speaker off on that, because I can hear myself through you. Or maybe it's my computer that I need to do that with. Yeah, it's my computer. I can hear it. Dang it.
Do I need to get in there?
Yeah, come on in
All
here,
right.
please, so I don't have to get up so I can talk. So it's Baby J, Justin Grossweiner, who's going to come in and help do a technical thing for me. Dang it.
Thank God for tech.
No, it's my computer, not yours. It's my computer over there. That's the problem. I turned it on for Godfather, who's going to be in yet, and it's not even on the stage, but I can hear the speaker. There you go. Attaboy. Thanks, Baby J. So, welcome to the program, kids. Big doings. We did a lot yesterday.
Yeah,
without you here.
I know. I listened to that first hour. I knew it was happening, but it was great to hear Bill and Josh talk about it. It was cool to see how excited they were about it.
At Willamette High School.
Yeah, absolutely. To carry some Willamette football. I was stunned. When I heard him talk about the schedule, I thought he can't be right. So I went. They played Jesuit, Lake Oswego, Summit, Silverton.
Yeah, and then the conference schedule, which includes Sheldon.
Yeah, it's a crazy schedule, and props to those. I mean, they know that they've got a team, and hey, he is the anti-Signetti. They are not ducking non-conference challenges. They could be one of those that goes.
See, that's where you would have been great in that conversation. You could have thrown that out there. I'm sure Josh would have loved that.
He probably
Absolutely
liked the
loved
Signetti paycheck, but he could be the anti-Signetti. And yeah, awesome schedule. It'd be awesome to have them on here every Friday night. I think it's cool.
And we had the voice of Willamette football in with us yesterday, filling for you, Brian Beban.
Exactly.
Who I think is sitting over there working away, hopefully selling something right now. And yes, thanks for calling me out for not signing the check. So
yeah,
now
okay. Hey,
so no, here's the thing now.
I'll
When I
get
get
to the bank
home
tomorrow.
when I get home tonight, now it's going to be the wife's going to say, "Really, you didn't sign the check?" That's what I'm going to hear.
I think you're going to say
Remind
it
me.
was her job to sign it.
No, because it comes to me. It doesn't go to her.
It's always a cool feeling when that person at the bank says, yeah, you just need to have that signed. Oh, cool. I'm
So
like,
in my
I could probably
defense-
forge
listen.
Danny's signature, but that's probably not a very good idea for the first one. I
would've-
better wait.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I would have let that slide. So the other thing being is that you didn't notice it either till you got to the bank.
No. I was just
Okay.
so happy to get paid. I was like, my eyes were so high I didn't even look at it. I just ran home and told my wife we're getting paid, and then she said, "Hey, is it going?" Oh, we'll see. So we're good.
All right, Baby J, how are you doing today, bud?
Well, I'm ready to talk about sports. The Open asks, "Are we ready?" And I think I'm ready. I think I've spent all morning just running around and trying to take care of things and move into a new place and get all sorts of things done. But
Baby
I'm,
J's moving to a penthouse in the sky.
I thought
That's
you were
right.
he was
On the
moving
East
into
Coast.
an attic in your house and gonna
Ooh,
enjoy
no,
the
No attic.
enjoy
Well,
the
we do have an attic, but it's not habitable.
you do?
Okay.
Yes, we have an attic.
How do you get to it?
You have to go through the garage, and then there's actually I have now 2 ladders installed, those Haida ladders, and you go up into the attic. We have a roof or a ceiling thing in the garage itself, and then you can get into the attic. We've actually built it out so we can store stuff. So I don't have a storage unit anymore. U-Haul's a
Well,
little
you
bit.
got a radio station.
There you go. You store everything in here, Danny. Don't worry
No,
about it.
I'm not storing everything in here. Absolutely not. All right, kids, we've got Dan Lanning audio. It was his first full day of fall practice, along with Jamarcus Shepard in this hour. Isaac Streeter is going to join us in segments 2 and 3 in this first hour. Matt Dompey, top of next hour. Eugene Emeralds. They already know who they're going to play in the postseason, apparently.
Oh, well.
So I didn't realize that, but apparently they are going to likely play the Everett Aquasox. We'll get that confirmed with Matt Dompey coming out. It's a little more than a month away.
Everett's radio announcer is one of the best in the business, Pat Dillon, who's been a friend of mine for 25 years. So we will certainly get him on the show leading into the thing.
Yeah.
So
So
who do you not know?
Yeah,
This is
that's
insane to
the
me.
whole thing. Is it every time, man? You're such a name dropper.
I don't think Pat Dillon qualifies as a name dropper. If
No, I
I
think
told
it
you
does.
I called Bob Costas last night, and he might be coming on. That's a name drop. Pat Dillon of the Everett Aquasox. God love the man. It's not really a name drop.
Angie Machado, ace from Beavers Blitz. I think she was up at practice. So didn't they open up?
Yeah.
They open up traditionally. We went last year, Baby J. I think they open up practice traditionally to the media for like the first hour or
I
something
think that was
like
yesterday for the first time.
Oh, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So that's where
whatever
this
it is.
audio is from.
Okay.
And she is going to be on the show today at the 5 o'clock hour.
Well, so we'll hear the audio, and then we'll be able to recap it with Angie in hour number 3. Your phone calls are always welcome on the Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-844-3484 or toll-free 877-844-3484. We're live from the Bigfoot Beverages studios. We're also live on the old Twitterverse and YouTube. I don't see the TikTok up here anymore, so maybe we'll get that fixed, or Twitch, I should say. I don't see the Twitch up here, so maybe we'll get that.
Yeah, I've got to link it. It's
No, it's fine. I'm just saying. I just
being
noticed it right
troublesome.
now. Oh, is it? Is it being obstinate?
technical difficulties are just they arise everywhere.
Okay.
In technology.
So I'm just going to say, you said I said the word obstinate. So we're going to get to sports in a second, but of course, you know that we always like talking about our lives, or at least I like talking about my life a little bit when it's funny. So everybody here knows Wee Man, Apricot,
Yes.
the orange tabby is our station mascot. Well, this little animal has gotten to a point where he is opening the barn door that goes to. We have the sliding barn door for our restroom in our master, and he likes to open the door up while you're in there. And for someone like me, when I'm standing there, he wants to come in between my legs and put his little front paws up on
oh
the,
no.
the bowl.
Yeah.
So we have now had to lock our bathroom door so he does, and he's jumping on everything, by the way. He is jumping from point to point, knocked a glass container that holds our Q-tips, knocked that over the other day. And so my wife said, that's it. We're putting a lock on both sides of that barn door now. So when on the outside we lock it, on the inside we can lock it.
Do you want to know what I
Yeah.
heard the best thing to do with
Okay,
a
tell me.
unruly cat was? Because my sister's cat is a very unruly
Give it
cat.
away.
No, apparently you're just supposed to ignore when you don't make a big deal out of these things. Basically, the second when he knocks something over,
So
start
it's
getting
like
apoplectic, he'll know. Oh, this is gonna get a reaction. This works.
attention. So it's like
Exactly.
any attention's good attention.
So, for instance, when we'd be watching television, the cat
Mhm.
would jump up and literally stand in the middle of the television looking
heard
at
this?
us.
I have not.
Really? Well, this is more you know then. And I would want to get the cat off of the television like any person would. And my mom and my sister would literally tell me, like, no, just don't react, don't do anything. And it's really hard for me to do that because I want to just like do
Hang out
something
with the
about
cat,
it, right?
yeah.
And take care of the problem. But that's how you reinforce the behavior. So you
Okay.
got to just be able to keep your cool. And if you don't give a reaction, they're not going to think, oh, yeah, I got to do this again.
It's like if you got a bee on your shoulder, don't move. Just sit there and act like it's not there, and it
Yeah.
won't sting you. But if you flip out, then it's going to keep coming back. Sounds
I hadn't
simple.
heard that one either. And I should have brought this up with Laura because she's our resident cat expert as well. She
I've got
has
a
kitties.
good bee story.
Sure, bring it on.
I had never been stung by a bee ever until I was about 25, 26 years old, out in the middle of the Alaska wilderness with nobody around. And so it was one of those things where you're always told if you ever get stung by a bee, then and you've never been stung before, you might be allergic. So I was just like a little bit nervous because I was like miles away from getting to any sort of medical help.
Did you puff up like a Michelin
No, I
man?
was fine. I
Okay.
survived,
That's good.
but I was a little bit nervous. You guys have heard this before, right? That people are allergic
Oh
to
yeah,
bees.
people
and-
are,
Oh yeah, no.
absolutely.
People
Absolutely.
carry EpiPens when they're out on
Right.
hikes and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
you
because
just
of-
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. That's a great way to
You
Much
say
don't
it.
know
like-
until you get stung, then you find out.
Just
Really
like
quickly.
Jamarcus Shepard's going to say later, he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
All right. Well, we'll hear about that in the last segment of this first hour. Let's get into some Dan Lanning audio. So obviously they get started. So, Coach, what were the first days like?
I think the first day is a little bit survive almost always for guys, the first day. So that's part of it. That's part of the challenge that'll come out going into second practice is, okay, you were able to make it. Who'd you bring with you, right? And I think some of that's got to show up even more. Like I mentioned, I think we have a lot of guys that are player led, but on the same note, can we create some more alphas in this process? That's part of what, fall camp is about.
Dan Lanning is in his, this is his 5th year, right? I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4,
think you're
5
right.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
5 years. And there's been a stair step every single season, right? And especially in the college football playoff,
Mhm.
making it and then getting to the quarterfinals, not getting the semifinals last year, getting to a Big Ten championship game, winning the Big Ten championship after getting to a Pac-12 championship and getting disappointed a couple of times. So, and all along this path, there is, and Baby J, maybe you can help me out with this. So the quote I'm seeing here is what to look for when teaching a new position. Can you amplify that a little bit before we get
Yeah,
into
well,
the
he was
quote?
asked about guys that are learning new positions. What are you looking for when they're making those adjustments?
Yeah, mental acuity. Like they have to be able to receive knowledge and be able to absorb it and take it, and it makes sense, right? We try to break football down from really complicated things and make them really simple. And if we have guys that can handle that and do it at a high level, then we're gonna be able to see them in some different spots. Like D.R. Hill's an example of a guy that did multiple things for us today beyond just what he's done at running back. Well, he's in year 2, right? We expect that out of him, right? We have wideouts now that can line up at any position at wide receiver. That's an expectation, especially for guys that have been here, offensive linemen that are working at tackle and working at guard, right? So can they handle it, right? And then are we able to push it, to another level? And then the same thing defensively. Peyton Wood, you're playing down in the box times at star, and then being able to play at safety, right? There's several guys that have similar examples like that. Brandon Finney, edge guys that we have the same expectation for.
Coach Dan Lanning here on the Sports Animal, sportsanimalEUG.com, out on the coast as well, 92.7 KNCU. It's the Fox Sports Newport. It's Danny, it's Goose, it's Baby J. Hello there, and welcome into the program. Bear Alexander. What do you think of Bear Alexander,
I
Goose?
think he
A massive human being.
His properly named. I don't know if his mother gave him that name at birth, but he turned out to be properly named. He is a huge human being.
And he is going to be an anchor for the he has to perform.
Yeah, and this is a guy who started out at Georgia and kind of underperformed and went to USC and underperformed. Came to Oregon last year, and we saw a little bit more of it. And now, I mean, it's cool
In a
to see somebody
positive
who
way
is,
at
who
Oregon.
kind of, after that USC year, I think people thought even when he was in the portal and Oregon got him, it was like, yeah, well, that guy's underachiever. He's not the 5-star he was coming out of high school. And a guy who's kind of taken a third opportunity and is kind of living up to what people expected. I think that's cool these days in college football. It's not always the 5-star comes in and is dominating from day one. It's kind of cool to see a guy who in year 4 might live up to it because he kept working to get there rather than somebody who just said, man, these coaches are out to get me. They're not letting me live up to my hype and I'm out.
Bear Alexander's continued growth addressed by Dan Lanning.
Yeah, you got to push every day with Bear, but he's pushed himself every day, and I think he's become the best version of himself here. And guess what? There's still more to grow. There's still more opportunities for him to continue to improve, just like everybody on our team. But really happy with the growth that he's had so far. I know there's going to be moments from today that he's like, okay, I want to have that back. I want to get better at. But that's part of his growth, right, is that recognition of that and seeing that. But he's been phenomenal since he's been here. He's only gotten better every single day that he's been here, and he's going to continue to grow.
I think Bear's an interesting guy because maybe he's even a little bit underrated on that defensive line because of Amari Washington getting talked about a lot, Mateo Uyunglele getting talked about a lot. But like you said, Steve, he's a guy that was really highly touted coming out of high school. And if you went into a time machine and went 3 months into the future and you said, hey, Bear Alexander is actually the best guy in this defense, I don't actually think you should be surprised. He is legitimately that talented. Do I think he's going to be the best player on this defense? Probably not, but they're so deep that it just really goes to show for this team that there's so many different guys that you can almost have guys that are potentially star level players getting lost in the shuffle almost.
Well, and I also think that, and I'll just say it in a way that it doesn't seem like it's putting Bear Alexander down, but I think Oregon got him at the right time. I think Bear Alexander needed to mature. And I think if they would have gotten Barry Alexander at Oregon as a freshman, I don't know if he would have been the guy he is now. I think he needed to go through some things and go through some struggles elsewhere and maybe find a change of scenery. And when he found that at Oregon and with the right coaching staff and the right direction, now he's being able to blossom.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm far off on that?
No, absolutely. Like I say, you see that a lot. I mean, you know, people talk about, these guys can transfer everywhere here and there, and sometimes it takes a little while to find your spot. I mean, and it's not just student athletes. There are people who go to a school somewhere and it's not a great fit for them, and they go somewhere else, or they start, I mean, it's not your first decision, doesn't always work out. But again, I think there are people like Bear Alexander too, who go through, and by the time that second school is done, they're like, man, these coaches are out to get me. They're not letting me do it. I'm kind of cashing it in.
He didn't
and
do
that's
that.
the guy who absolutely said, no, I'm gonna come here and fight it out. And he came here last year to Oregon in a place that wasn't guaranteeing him anything because of the depth they had on the line.
Look no further for players that didn't have their first situation work out for them than Dante Moore
Yeah,
playing
absolutely.
at UCLA.
Yeah. Although he started, I mean, he got the playing time. I think he left because he felt like, this isn't a great offense for me and this and that, but I think he could have stayed there, and he knows he could have been the 4-year starter there.
He left because Bo left.
Correct.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's keep going on with Dan Lanning, and Jess, why don't you take us through this next one?
Which one?
The next one on the list here, leadership.
Which I'm not looking at. by the way.
Iuli, Dave Iuli.
Okay.
Dave Iuli.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Dave Iuli and the leadership that he's going to provide for the offensive line. We'll have another quote later about Dan Lanning and the what to make of all the different offensive linemen rotating around.
Yeah.
But Dave Iuli is a guy that's certainly going to have leadership in that position.
Well, I think he's had a ton of snaps, obviously, and there's still a little bit of limitations that we're doing as we go through fall camp here. He's not going to be full go right yet for us, but the amount of experience he has, it's hard to replace experience, especially game experience, and Dave certainly had that.
So, Coach Lanning, when we talk about the transfer portal, because we do every year, Oregon looks to fill those gaps and add strength to get that whole iron sharpens iron mentality that Dan Lanning and his staff have built. By the way, thanks for listening to the Sports Animal here on a weekend eve. So there's one that was added to the wide receiver room of all places, which seems to be a pretty deep room anyway, if you also factor in the tight ends, which I do, because Oregon uses a tight end almost like another wide receiver, always has. And with Drew Maringer now being elevated from the tight ends coach to the offensive coordinator after last year being the co-offensive coordinator, I think there's going to be even more of that. But Iverson Hooks is an interesting story, and Coach Dan Lanning talks about what they were looking for and what they found in Iverson.
Well, and I just want to jump in here, too, before I play the audio. Part of the question was a comparison to Tez Johnson and sort of the similarities that they had, and if they were sort of looking for those same things in an Iverson Hooks.
I thought we were looking for somebody who could play the A position for us, which is generally that. We weren't necessarily looking for somebody that was smaller, right? Obviously, that you can make that quick attribute. We're looking for somebody that had the play skill set that he has, and it's shown up. He's got short area quickness, burst. Those are things that have really paid off for us at that position in the past.
And in addition to the similarities, they went to Alabama for both of them. Went to Troy for
That's
one
true,
and
yeah.
UAB for the other. So the similarities are gonna continue right there.
Well, depth in that room is going to be important, as was amplified last year with the injuries that hit the offensive side of the football. And near the end of the season, it was almost devastating. In fact, I don't know if that would have been a factor in the Indiana game one way or the other in terms of the game plan, but it seemed like that Oregon needed to rely more on Dante Moore and the receivers in that Indiana game than anything else in that Peach Bowl.
It definitely was a factor, and I'm forgetting the running back that actually played off the top of my head. Was it
Hill.
It was, yeah.
Or no, Jay Harris.
Jay Harris? I actually thought Jay Harris was pretty good in that
No,
game.
he was.
But at the same time,
He was
they
forced to be,
They were down
though.
to their seventh guy.
Right. So we did bring this up yesterday on the show. Rashad Samples had an incident in the offseason where it's alleged DUI, reckless driving. He left the scene of an accident allegedly. And this, I think it was back in April, wasn't it, Baby J?
Yep.
And then finally the video was released. There was I don't know, I don't think it was body cam, but there was a
I
dash
believe it
cam.
was.
A dash
Oh,
cam.
dash
it was a
cam.
dash cam.
The-
It wasn't a body
the driver
cam. It
had
was
a dash cam.
Yeah, there was an officer there involved of Rashad Samples leaving. And it was brought up, and I think it was an appropriate thing to bring up to Dan Lanning and talk about how that was dealt with internally.
Yeah, I mean, we were aware of this back in April when it first happened. For one, we take it extremely seriously, right? There's accountabilities that are required, and they were required in this moment. And on the same note, they've been completed, but it's something we'll always take very serious. There's always consequences in those moments, and we handled that internally like we do with several things that you guys don't necessarily know about.
That last little piece
Interesting line to throw out there.
Yeah.
Suddenly adds the
That
media
you
to say,
don't-
Right.
what else has been going on that we haven't? That was
I mean,
an odd
if
little
you were sitting
line
in
there.
that room, Mims,
Might have
when
been the follow-up question. What else don't we know about? Again, he's not going to get into
No,
that.
he's
But hey,
not
what
gonna
are
say it.
the other incidents that we don't know about? That was an interesting line to finish it with.
So we'll be watching this as it goes through the court system as well. And again, as I said yesterday on the program, and I think everyone agreed, let's just let this thing play out through the judicial system. I almost had another CLITTER moment there, but let's just let it play out, because the last thing, we weren't there. Yes, video is incriminating. Can't escape that, but I've always said you've got to trust the guys, trust the room, and if they feel like they've appropriately dealt with it internally, then I don't say it's good enough for me, but who am I to judge? I'm not there, so I'm not gonna pass judgment. All right, let's quickly get through these next two. Dylan Gresham had an injury, and that's been talked about. We'll hear from Dan Lanning in a moment on that, and then some of the O-line rotation stuff is also a conversation for Dan Lanning. I mean, it's really early though. Right. I mean, they're just a couple of days into what this fall is going to look like. And September 5th, the first game, Boise State. I mean, there's another big game right now. Boise State's picked to win the new Pac-12.
Yeah.
Boise State's historically been a good program. They're going to have another offense that's going to come light some things up. We're going to try. Those first games sometimes can be scary.
Yeah, quarterback's back, coach is back, which you'd always see at the Group of Five. When you have a lot of success at that level, sometimes your quarterback and your coach try to move up. They get them both back. It's very similar to 2 years ago when they opened with Boise State, and Boise State got in the playoff based on the strength of the loss to Oregon because it was a close game. Oregon kicked a field goal at the end to win it, but I think Boise State probably looks at this, and if there are guys left on that team, which I'm sure there are, it's not hard to tell them we can go in there and win because they almost did it last time.
So Dan Lanning, his first presser, you're not expecting that much. You didn't get that much. It's going to be this way. We talked a little bit as well yesterday about how the media is not, given the access as they have in the past. What are your initial thoughts about that? Because to me, I kind of said like anybody and their dog seems like they can get press credentials now. And we talked about, Live and Get Bent or whatever that one site is, and so they're voting on who's going to finish where in the Pac-12. So, but what are your thoughts about how schools are? And this is not just Oregon. There's a lot of schools that are closing things off to the media.
Yeah. No, I get you that if you open it to one, you have to open it to all. And yes, a lot of them are going to be people who are, have a cell phone and maybe take a picture of a trick play, and that's probably the coach's worry. Somebody on a blog is going to have a picture of a double reverse they ran, and now it's out there and want it to. I like the idea of, and I think you can, the media in the old days used to be able to go and watch, and it helped inform you for things you saw. It made your coverage of the team better, and it gave you better context of things you saw in the game. So I think that on the coach's side, if you do that and the media criticizes some things, you can't say, well, hey, you haven't seen what we're doing in practice, because and I used to get, I think Mario did a lot. He'd be like, well, you guys didn't get to see practice today, and it was like, well, we didn't get to see practice because you didn't let us see practice type thing. So I get it. Everybody's paranoid these days. Everybody's got a camera in their hands, and the days when media were allowed in, there weren't all that. But it takes away as a journalist, it takes away from the, we talked to Eric Scopel the other day, again, when it was 5 minutes of practice, he'd go there, at least write down a depth chart and things he saw that helped him, when the game started. Now it's like game one, that's the first time you can put together a depth chart. So I wish more teams would allow, and I think Some do. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State lets media in there. He wants the attention. He wants the coverage, the publicity. But
Sure.
again, he's in Phoenix where the Suns and the Cardinals and these others. And, if
not
you're
the
Dan
game.
Lanning in your Oregon, you don't have to do that. So it varies a little bit besides that. As an old journalist, I wish that we could get in there and watch it, but I understand why they don't.
There's a little bit of a cloak, and it can protect things like injuries. So Dan Lanning did give an update on Dylan Gresham and his injury.
There's not really a clear indication that Dylan's going to be able to help us here in the future. He'll be a part of our team, but from a medical standpoint, I don't know if that's clear that he'd be able to.
That is tough.
Yeah.
Right. We just talked about it at the top about how the depth in that room. So now Iverson Hooks becomes even more important because it doesn't sound like, from Dan Lanning, who normally tries to spin things in a obscure positive way, that to me is kind of like, yeah, they know he's not going to be back this year. It's going to be one of those Evan Stewart injuries where it's like we don't see him seeing the field.
Well, it almost sounds like an injury that you hope that he plays football again, kind of injury.
Yeah, he's going to be with the team. That doesn't sound
I
like he's
don't
going
know.
to see the field. Dan Lanning, there was a conversation, and Landon Tengwall is not a fan of this whole rotation on the offensive line, but Dan Lanning talks about that.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's interesting to me that it's become a conversation topic because we've done this every single year I've been here. Josh Connerly rotated in his freshman year. Jackson Powers Johnson rotated in. Poncho rotated in. And how do you think they got ready? Right? That's how you get players ready, right? Whether it's a package, whether it's a different detail. But if you have guys that can play winning football, we've never started the season and finished the season with the same offensive line. I hope you have experience within that. So we're going to have to work multiple guys at multiple positions to get them ready. We've had 3 groups in a row that were Joe Moore Award finalists. I think we've been sacked the least of anybody in college football over the last 3 or 4 years. So all that added together, for us, it's the system. It's what you want to be able to do. And I hope we have 8 players that can play on the offensive line, right? So let's figure out who's above the line. But we're going to have to move guys around, put them in situations, and it means that we have good talent there, which is good. When you have a clear 5, that means you might not have a good number 6. Right. I don't necessarily want to clear 5 yet. We're a long ways away from a game. Do I think there's benefits for continuity? 100%. And we'll get to that point. If that's something we feel like there's a big difference, then we'll do that. But if we think we have a young player that we can help grow and get ready to be able to make an impact, we want to be able to do that earlier than later.
Part of that gets back to what we were just talking about, that and I got a couple things on this, but first off, that media doesn't get to see practice. So all we have is what Dan says. So when Dan says, hey, there's 8, it leads to, and I asked Eric Scopelwin on the other day, what's the context of that? You were in the room and he gave it. It is funny to me though, that every coach says, I don't listen to Twitter. I'm not paying attention to what people are saying out there. What's the first thing Dan said? It's interesting to me that it's a conversation out there. How did you know it was a conversation out there, Dan? Apparently either you or somebody, it's like all these guys act like, hey, we're all in on, tunnel vision. We're not listening to any outside noise. Hey, it's a conversation out there. It's just funny to me that, we look, all of us have social media or, in our business that we're doing, we're all paying attention to those things. Coaches are too. And I get when they say they're not, but it is funny to me when he comes out and says, I didn't know there'd be a conversation. Well, what conversations are you following, duckthis.com type thing? Well, where are you getting your info?
But I think there,
Get
as
bent.
well as I think
Get bent or get real.
not following Get Bent. I guarantee that. But I think it's probably he's getting asked this question, right, by other media members as well about rotations.
But he clearly knew that there was a conversation going on.
There's a conversation going on. All right, let's take our break. I believe Mustang is waiting for us. Isaac Streeter.
He is indeed waiting.
Okay. We will talk to the scribe from the Portland Tribune, who does not live in Portland, although I will ask him what the weather is like in Portland and see if he can guess when we come back on The Drive.
10:50 a.m. and 102.9 FM and the SportsAnimalEugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Men like to get the most out of things. We expect results when we hit the gym, and we expect to finish our weekend to-do list. We also expect ourselves to never slow down, even when some things start to get a little harder. Low testosterone levels might be slowing you down. That's when Oregon Man Clinic step in. Sharpen your focus, regain energy levels, and improve your love life with treatment options tailored to you. Get the most out of being a man. Visit us online at our Springfield, Bend, and Albany locations.
At Sun Automotive, we are changing the image of the automotive industry. Our country depends upon cars and trucks, and our automotive technicians are the essential workers that keep families safe and businesses moving. At Sun Automotive, being an automotive technician isn't a plan B. It's a future and an important career that challenges you to grow and gives you the satisfaction of keeping people safe and on the road. For the best service under the sun, come to Sun Automotive.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible. Look, the van even has its own back. You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal. Nobody panic. Bun is still at daycare. And never put them in harm's way. I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers. But never happens. Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Every year, millions of pets go missing, leaving families heartbroken. If you lose or find a pet, Love Lost is here to help. Our free, easy-to-use database uses photo matching technology across multiple social media platforms to bring lost pets home. Just upload a photo and quickly search the largest national lost and found pet database. Let's unite to reunite, because every lost pet deserves to find their way home. Register today at lovelost.org.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 10 million people. Without destroying your credit, they can reduce your interest rates, lower your total payments up to 50% to get you out of debt fast. For a free consultation, call Consolidated Credit now. The program works.
Call 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107.
Consolidated Credit Solutions Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Kansas CSO 0019051. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 892. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission, license number TC83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debt may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action. Actual interest rates, length of program, and monthly payment reductions will vary by consumer and creditor. Yours could be higher or lower. Not a loan company. We do not lend money.
1050 AM, 1029 FM, and the SportsAnimalEugene.com. Other stations can say they cover the Ducks and Beavers, but we bring the receipts. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Godfather Matt Dompe going to join us from the Eugene Emeralds in the second hour, starting out our second hour, which is just around the corner. Is it better to get close and lose or just be bad every year? I'm not going to use the other word that's on this piece of paper. Just say that. I used to get in trouble with my parents if I used that word. So again, I'm not going to say it.
Really?
Yes. They did not like me using that word.
For the record, it is not a bad word. That is not an FCC violation.
Didn't Joe Madden use that in like a team?
Yes,
wasn't that part of the team motto?
Yeah, don't blank.
Are we going to get fined? Are we going to get fined on the air for
I
saying
just don't want to say it. It's PTSD for me.
Okay.
Angie Machado going to join us in hour number 3. And, of course, your phone calls in between if you want at 844-3484. That's the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. We're live from the Bigfoot Beverages studio. We welcome back our good friend. Let's do a Stingers Up.
Stingers Up.
For our good friend, Isaac Streeter Mustang from the Portland Tribune. You can follow him on the socials, Isaac_Streeter. He is a proud graduate of Sacramento State. That's why we always welcome him with the same thing. I really want to ask you how the weather is in Portland, but I know you don't care because you don't live there.
Because I don't live there.
I remember
the
that.
weather in Salem sucks, though.
And so you just use the
There you
word
go.
I'm not
Use the
supposed
word
to
that
use.
Danny didn't want to
And
use.
I thought I did. I was trying to do the mental math over here.
He knew the Joe Madden clue was enough, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll get you guys an FCC violation one of these days.
Oh no, you didn't hear about our Neil Everett interview.
No, apparently not.
Oh, we got some stories to tell next time you're down here, buddy. I know you and I are getting together for lunch here pretty soon. So, is it smoky up there in Salem as well? Because it's really smoky down here.
Yeah, it has been. I've been kind of hiding inside. The problem with smoke for me is I don't have actual air conditioning in my apartment.
Oh no,
the windows are my air conditioning.
Oh no,
which means that it's a little warm up
Bit of
here.
a quandary.
Yeah, do I want the smoke or do I want to be hot? And we've ruled the past 2 nights that I would prefer the smoke.
Wow.
I wish wish the best for you,
that
buddy.
is
That's-
really a decision.
That is a bad decision to have
Hey,
to
I'm
try
all
and make.
good, man.
All right.
It's hot.
You're young.
All right, so we got you for 2 segments, and thanks for hanging out with us as always, Mustangs.
anytime.
Let's talk Oregon first. So we just heard some audio from Dan Lanning talking about Bear Alexander, Dave Iuli, the Rashad Samples thing. But I want to start with Dylan Gresham. It kind of sounds like to me that Duck fans are not going to see Dylan Gresham suited up in uniform and playing this year. Am I wrong?
Were we going to see Dylan Gresham suit up and play in uniform beforehand? All due respect to the young man, but it kind of slipped in my mind just about what's his full situation has been. But this is a deep receiver room as is.
Yeah.
So okay, neck injury. That's right. Oh yeah. I mean, all due respect to him, and hope he's on the road to recovery.
Sure.
But gonna be honest, he wasn't on my 2 deep prior. But
Okay.
gotta hope he is progressing well. And I saw that kind of stuff up close and personal, and especially with Tyler Bellerose last year. And anything with the neck or head always freaks you out and scares you. So.
Isaac, yeah. So I got to get a question. The Dan Lanning, we've been talking about the even Dan's hearing the conversations in the media about having 8 offensive linemen, and the question is that show depth or a lack of starting 5? Where do you stand on this one?
This is the silliest conversation we're going to have all year long. He's saying he's going into fall camp ready to evaluate 8 offensive linemen. He had made those comments before they had practiced even once this fall, and before they've even put pads on. Of course, he has 8 offensive linemen he wants to work. I think a lot of people kind of get lost on that one and think he's going to rotate it, and he probably will. I mean, you're not going to play a full season, and have 5 guys play every single snap on the offensive line for you all year long. So having 8 guys is a total luxury for them. I think most of them are 4 or 5 stars, if not highly touted transfers. And of course he has 8 guys and is going to rotate through all of them. I believe he said last night that, you don't want to have 5 at this time, because then who's your 6th, So I think it's silly, and people shouldn't lose sleep over potentially having numerous offensive line guys in play. That's, 3 returners up front and then 5 guys that are going to work in and try and fill up the gaps. It's nothing to be concerned about, in my opinion.
And we know that there is depth on this team, of course. Conversation has been a little bit around the Big Ten, just the national college football scene, about who's under pressure this season. We talked about it a lot yesterday, so I'd love your thoughts on Oregon. And it seems like they're one of those teams that people look at because of course, not having won a national championship. And Dan Lanning, we did the math earlier, he is entering his 5th year. When we hear him talk, he doesn't seem like a guy that's feeling like he's feeling about a lot of pressure, but seems like there's a lot of people right now that think that Oregon's under the fire.
Yeah, I'd like to meet him. I think it's a silly thing to be worried. I mean, this is a business where, we saw it last year. What did Penn State come into the year as, like in the preseason AP poll? And they ran James Franklin out of town. Obviously, I'm not comparing those two yet. Crazier things have happened. I think Oregon is a little bit more rational and patient in that regard, and Dan Lanning is going to have control over that football team for as long as he wants to have it. And it, kind of seems like he wants to be there. I mean, it's in my opinion, I think it's a top 3 job in the country right now, probably based on resources and all that kind of sort of stuff. But I wouldn't be sounding alarm bells on Dan Lanning.
Mustang Isaac Streeter joining us from the Portland Tribune. You can follow him on the socials, Isaac_Streeter. And he joins us and will be a regular as we go through the entire season, as thank goodness football is just a few weeks away. Isaac, is the Big Ten stronger overall, the top 6 teams compared to last year, or is it still there's 3 that are going to go and the rest are really going to be fighting for that 4th position?
I think it's still probably, in the 3 to 4 bid league kind of situation. I think that's still what you're looking at. That 4th spot's going to be tough to come by. It mostly just because it's going to boil down to, like, the SEC isn't great at the bottom either. Like, you still got your Mississippi States and your Mizzous and Arkansas, but still got it in the Big Ten too. You still got your Northwesterns and your Rutgers is. So like, there's always going to be the weird games on the schedule that people want to diminish, but ultimately, I mean, I think it's still a great conference at the top if it is still, just kind of in that 4 bid realm.
Isaac Streeter joining us. We'll take a quick break, Isaac. When we come back, let's talk Oregon State. Jamarcus Shepard, we've got some audio from him. We might play one of those 2 cuts to let you listen to it as well and get your reaction. I think you were there, weren't you? There was not that far of a drive from Salem, and you got
all those.
Yeah, and you had air conditioning in your car, right?
Oh, thank God I did.
All right. Poor Isaac Streeter. We'll have him back on the program after this quick timeout. Stay tuned. The Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-844-3484. Toll free 877-844-3484. Also live on the YouTube and the Twitter. This is The Drive.
Don't change the channel. Your radio might explode. Okay, not really. But you miss a minute of The Drive, you might miss something, well, spectacular.
On we go.
The Drive is back on 102.9 FM and 1050 AM. The Sports Animal.
It kind of sneaks up on you. More tired than you should be, a little less focused, a little less motivated. You've gained a little weight. It's normal. A lot of men experience it, but that doesn't mean you have to live with it. At Hale Men's Clinic, personalized testosterone therapy can help you restore your energy, your clarity, your edge. Real solutions, real results. Hale Men's Clinic. Feel good now. Curious about your levels? Walk into Hale Men's Clinic in Eugene, Bend, or Roseburg for your free testosterone test today. More info at halemensclinic.com.
Running a business means taking care of everyone else, employees, customers, and your community. But who's looking out for your future? Your Eugene area Edward Jones advisors understand what's important to you, from your business goals to your family's needs, and help you create a strategy that keeps your financial life organized and on track. Your Eugene area Edward Jones advisors. Let's start the conversation. To locate the Edward Jones financial advisor nearest you, visit edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Imagine what it's like to be active your whole life and then find out you're going blind. That's what happened to me. I have age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. As a wife, mother, and grandmother, my sight is precious to me. What a relief when I found out that treatments for some forms of AMD are available and that research is underway on additional preventions and treatments. AMD is the leading cause of vision loss in people 55 and over. When I started seeing blurry spots in the middle of my eye, I saw my doctor. She suggested I review the prevention and treatment information on fightblindness.org. Did you know that some forms of AMD can be slowed down or stopped, and in some cases reversed if found in time? Get more information about preserving your vision. Call the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-BLINDNESS for a free packet on reversing or managing AMD. Or go to the website where I found so much helpful information. Fightblindness.org, 1-800-BLINDNESS, 1-800-254-6363, or fightblindness.org.
Having low income can mean making tough choices. Choosing between paying for food or medication or a place to live is a reality for many people. Do you know someone who could use some extra help? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. SSI is money you can use to help pay for basic needs, like putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, paying the rent. It can mean new shoes for growing feet or help with medical needs. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI to schedule an appointment or start to apply today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Sometimes they're right.
Rest my case.
Sometimes they're wrong.
You want answers. The truth. You can't handle the truth.
But no ears were harmed in the making of their disagreements.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Welcome back to The Drive. Thanks for hanging out with us. SportsAnimalEUG.com is the website. Hop on there. There's a lot of information for all the teams that you follow and a lot of Major League Baseball as well. I mean, literally hundreds of blogs and staff writers that we have tapped into on the website. So please go check it out at sportsanimalEUG.com. I'm Danny. That's Steve over there, Justin. And on the Oregon Man Clinics hotline is our good friend Isaac Streeter. We call him Mustang from the Portland Tribune. We held him over for one more segment, talked Oregon in the last segment. Now let's talk some Oregon State football. And let's start out with this, Isaac. Let's hear, and I know you heard it, Jamarcus Shepard on what he wants the story to be for this 2026 team.
This is what got Oregon State back on the map. This was the foundation. I talk a lot about, is your house built on sand or on rock? You want a house built on sand? No one does. And so all the things that we're trying to instill in them, tuck your shirt in. That's building rock. Get your foot behind the line. That's building rock. Show up on time. That's building rock. Say hello to people when they walk into the building. That's building rock. When we tell you to get in the curl flat, get in the curl flat. That's building rock. When we tell you to get to the hash and cover 2, and then get 2 yards outside the hash based on the release of the number 2, that's building rock. But we can't get to all that until we do the other things. So I want to make sure that this is the foundation of Oregon State football. Guys, I could fall off a cliff tomorrow. Who knows? I'm not going to get on any cliff, so hopefully that doesn't happen. All right. And then what will our program move forward? I had a good friend of mine. I was talking to him. He's a head coach at another institution. And he said, Shepard, how you liking it out there at Oregon State? And this is a guy I've known for a long time, so I can completely be honest with him. I love it here. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, I could stay here for a very, very long time. And he said, I hope I find that.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but I just know that taking your vitamins, that's building the rock.
Okay.
Okay. Isaac, your initial reaction to the opening presser by Jamarcus Shepard in Oregon State's first fall practice.
Yeah, so 2 quick things off rip. When he says, when we tell you to get in the curl flat, what you can't hear on the audio is him staring a hole through my head as he says that. The most just intimidating look I've seen on it. He's got this way to flip this switch when he starts talking about like football. That's like the scariest thing ever. And you think at any point he could like bite your head off. And it's kind of why I'm very pro Jamarcus Shepard. And I had a second point and I got distracted thinking about how intimidating that look is. But you know, just he's a hoot of a coach. It's pretty fun to be around him, especially in these early stages.
So the takeaways that you have now, obviously, Jamarcus Shepard kind of goes to that Dan Lanning school immediately of kind of closing off the media from looking at a lot of his players and practices and such. So, I mean, what do we know about this team except that he is building it from the ground up?
Yeah, that they're building it from the ground up is kind of the thing to really hone in on there. And when they say they're building a foundation, they're building foundation. Like this is very, very fundamental early stuff that it seems like they're trying to get into. And kind of the bottom line here is like, this is not going to be a great football team year one. And I kind of wrote about it yesterday, and kind of my initial article on this is that he's going to be far more content if this team is just like super willing to get punched in the mouth and do it with a smile than if they put wins in the win column, because he's just trying to fix what this team was last year. And it was a complete and total dumpster fire, and turn it into like a program that's headed in the right direction. So that's really what year one is about. But I remembered my other point. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, they're going to be the worst in the Pac-12, the Pac-8.
They could be.
Wow.
We can go through the list. Who is like, do we know is better than them? I would say Boise State, I think, is significantly better. I would say Fresno State, who I'm super high on. They're my pick to win the conference.
Okay.
I think San Diego State is going to play better defense than them. I think Sean Lewis has something cooking. Colorado State is, kind of maybe fringy. Wazoo's in a similar situation. But they brought in a, quirky, fun transfer quarterback in Caden Pinnock, who went to my rival college, whose name I won't mention, but then Texas State, they could be super spicy too. I mean, that's a program that's kind of been on the up and up. I'm a believer in J.G. Kinney there. And then who am I forgetting? Utah State. If like are we talking like Utah State, Oregon State, kind of at the bottom of this thing?
Yeah.
That's kind of where my brain goes.
Yeah. Isaac, the quarterback situation, is this Malik Murphy's? Do we think that there's one of the guys that's come in is going to move it? Do we think this is going to be revolving throughout the year? I know it's early on, but what's your thought on what this quarterback situation looks like as the year goes along?
Yeah, they're definitely painting it as an open competition, and they're being pretty honest about that. I think Malik Murphy is clearly the most physically talented one out of that group, and brings the recruiting pedigree with him. They're going to pitch it as kind of a three-man race with him and Braden Atkinson, who's a transfer from Mercer, Jerry Rice Award winner, and Brady Jones. I think it's really only a two-man race between Atkinson and Murphy. I think Atkinson's kind of more like your point guardy, kind of, Brock Purdy, like distribute the ball, do the right things kind of guy, where Murphy kind of definitely has the higher ceiling. But ultimately, I think it'll be Murphy to start week one. Kind of after that, we'll see what happens.
All right, Mustang, we're going to let you go. Unfortunately, if you drive around the block a couple of times, burn some gas up, but you can cool down if you need to.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Thanks, you bet, bud. Isaac _ Streeter, Portland Tribune. Go follow him on the socials. When we come back, maybe we'll squeeze one more from Jamarcus Shepard. He does know how to talk. Otherwise, we'll catch up to the rest of the audio later on in the show. We got a couple more hours left. Getting ready to start hour number 2. Top of the hour to be Matt Dompe from your Eugene Emeralds here on The Drive.
Nothing is too big for the sports animal to handle. That's what she said. You're home for me, Dan Patrick, 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays, and The Drive with Danny, Steve, and Justin from 3 to 6. This is the sports animal.
Beaver Nation, this is your moment to be part of something bigger. Oregon State football is building the future, and we want you with us at Research Stadium this fall. With 2026 mini plans, you can secure your seats for some of the biggest games of the season and experience the energy of Beaver football your way. Visit beavertickets.com or call 1-800-GO-BEAVS to purchase your mini plan today. Pack Research, build the legacy. Go Beavs!
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene. Video Only.
In school sports, it's easy to see the wins, the moments that make headlines. But there's so much work that goes unseen for any of it to happen. My name is Phil Risen, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. Throughout the country, athletic administrators dedicate countless hours to making life-changing opportunities possible for student athletes through sports. Their sacrifice is fueled by the belief that every student can grow and deserves their time to shine. On behalf of the NIAAA, we want to thank every athletic administrator for your tireless dedication to providing 7.8 million students across the country a path to a better future.
This message presented by the NIAAA, the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, The real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
1050 AM and 1029 FM and the sportsanimaleugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Follow us on all the socials. Sports Animal EUG. You can find us there. Also on YouTube, on Twitter, and of course on the website, sportsanimalEUG.com. I'm Doc. There's Goose, Baby J, and you from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You can hook us up at 541-844-3484. That is the Oregon Man Clicks hotline, toll free, 877-844-3484. Tomorrow on the program, Landon Tegwall, is he confirmed? Or we're still trying to confirm it? Okay,
Landon. Not confirm it.
Yeah, well, Landon will be on. I know he'll be on. Coming up next hour, top of the hour, it'll be Matt Dompe, the Godfather from Eugene Emeralds. Emeralds are in the Northwest League Championship Series that'll start in September. And who they play, we don't know yet, but we'll divine that.
Or maybe we do.
I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe we can. Maybe we can predict.
No,
you want to take
still like 4 weeks left, and it's a tie for second. So
it's a very tight race. Angie Machado in hour number 3.
Yeah, everybody's still in this thing. Everett and Spokane are tied right now with Vancouver 1 game back. So there's a mess of folks trying to take on the Fighting Emeralds in the postseason.
We'll hear more from Jamarcus Shepard. We'll kind of spread that out. Maybe we'll get some with Angie in that last hour. We'll hear the rest from Jamarcus Shepard. So he does not have a short soundbite. He's not like Dan Lanning, who will give you a 15-second soundbite. Jamarcus Shepard will give you a 2-minute soundbite.
What we love is the media. We want you to go and go and go and give us more and more content.
It's like eating a tomahawk instead of having a petite sirloin.
You don't want Bill Belichick. You want Sean McVay.
Okay.
Just ask Bill Belichick about long snappers.
That's all you got to do. Come on back. Why don't you? Take a quick break, grab some popcorn, and be back on the other side, top of the hour. Matt Dompe here on The Drive.
.1050 AM, 1029 FM, and the sportsanimaleugene.com. Other stations can say they cover the Ducks and Beavers, but we bring the receipts. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
This Saturday, take the drive to the mountains for the Oak Ridge Cake and Cast Festival. Hours are 3 to 10 p.m. and entry is free. Great local beer, wines, food, and vendors. Live music from Boxcar Figaro, the Elena Leona Project, and Outlaw Shine with line dancing starting at 6:30 p.m. This event supports the Oak Ridge Food Box, just 35 miles east to 48318 East 1st Street between Cedar and Alder for the Oak Ridge Cake and Cast Festival. It's free. You're going to love it. Sponsored by the Upper Willamette Community Development and Ears.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escape fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home from an oncoming wildfire. It's called Defensible Space, and it works. Go to keeporegongreen.org to learn more.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game. So I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Oregon at highschoolofficials.com.
Oh, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew. So here we go. First day on the job. Got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
KORE Springfield, Eugene, 1050 AM. Translated on 275CX 1029 FM. This is the Sports Animal, Eugene.
You know what that music means. If you've listened to our program before, you know what that music means. Thanks for tuning in on Fox Sports in Newport and right here in the Valley, the Smoky Valley. I'm going to say it after I bring Matt Doppy on, but when I was in Kansas, there is actually a high school named Smoky Valley, just south of Salina, just so everybody knows. Back here on the Sports Animal, sportsanimalEUG.com. That's our new website. Go tune that up and save it, bookmark it, and also all the socials, Sports Animal EUG as well. We welcome in the general manager and the silky smooth voice, formerly on the radio. You can follow him actually on the socials at Emeralds Radio. It's Matt Doppy joining us. Hey, man.
Thanks for having me.
How you been?
I've been good. It was an exciting trade deadline for Major League Baseball fans, Giants fans, but more importantly, Emeralds fans.
How's the trickle up?
It's been amazing. We've gotten like 3 new pitchers, a reliever that throws 100, a 20-year-old that just slotted in as the Giants' second pitching prospect, has like 1.68 ERA at the high level with the Phillies, and then another lefty that's starting tonight from the Yankees that they traded for Elliot Ramos. So like almost every trade that they made was like, I think this guy's coming here. And we have a good chance of getting Jeff Kent's son, the recent Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Nice. We had some debate about Jeff Kent versus Dale Murphy.
Interesting.
It was a very interesting conversation, comparing stats and stuff. We're not going to drag you into that conversation. I think we beat that horse to death. So, so exciting, obviously, exciting times. So how much, and I think we've talked about this before, and obviously you have no say one way or the other, what players come, what players go, but how much notice do you get?
I usually get a text message when they're about to get on a plane. That's literally about how it goes. And then do they need a hotel room or not?
And that's the biggest thing you have to worry about, just making sure they've got a uniform and they've got the right size and cleats.
I don't worry so much about the sizing of the uniforms. We got a guy for that, but yeah, no, we
you personally, but you got to tell somebody.
We're not rich at all resources, but we do have enough uniforms. I'm confident of that on a day-to-day basis.
So when we last spoke, there was a little scuffling going on, but you guys have righted the ship back in first place in the second half. You won the first half, so you're playing in the Northwest League Championship. 21-17 heading into tonight, a 1-game lead over Everett and Spokane. Vancouver, Tri-City, and Hillsborough round out the Northwest League. So, I mean, how's it been turning around in the last couple of weeks with the team? It seems like you guys have been scoring some runs, too.
Yeah, the offense has really picked it back up. It's almost surprising me. I just started looking at the standings over the last week. I'm like, oh, we're right there at first place. Then all of a sudden, we're in first place alone. I kind of want to just know who we're going to play in the championship series, but they're also bundled up. It really, at this point, even Hillsborough being 4 games out, they could have a couple hot weeks and get right back in it. So we have no idea who we're going to play in a little over a month.
Yeah, Everett and Spokane both at 20 wins, 19 for Vancouver, 17 for Tri-City and Hillsborough. So like you say, it works there. First off, as a GM, I want to congratulate you on scheduling the smoky time of the year to be on the road. Incredible job to make sure that you didn't have to
Wow,
play the
look at you.
AQI rule and be sitting there trying to figure that out. Really good scheduling, deciding this is going to be the smoky week 8 months ago, figuring that out and
Tip
not
of the
being
cap.
home during
Well,
that.
I appreciate that, but obviously, when all this news was coming out of Spokane, guess where we were going this week?
Oh, is that right?
We're playing in Spokane, so there was a lot of talk last weekend about maybe
Canceling?
we move it. Well, maybe move it here.
Oh,
And actually, as I've been following it all week, we've been smokier than our AQI has been higher than Spokane consistently all week. So
one of the worst in the world, by the way. Just saying.
I can imagine.
Brian Beban was telling me the other day. He was bringing up all the stats. He's a nerd like that. So
Because you guys are up there right now, but you're good to play. It looks like the
Yeah.
series is going to go through.
They've played the first two, and I haven't heard anything about tonight. They've been right in like the 120s area pretty
Yeah.
consistently all week.
it's much lower than here.
Yeah, so it's been surprising. Yes, I'm glad that the schedule makers helped
Yes.
us out that way, but I also want to knock on wood because we're not out
Still
of
got
the woods yet.
right.
Yeah,
You got 14th is your next home game, right?
correct.
Okay.
Next Friday. Yeah.
Through that one there. You mentioned that Jeff Kent could come. That would continue. We've had a history of, I remember Fernando Valenzuela showed up at a game when his kid played for the M's back in the day. We've had some second generations to where the first generation comes back. It'd be kind of cool to have a night at PK when maybe Jeff Kent comes around and, maybe he offers to sit for 5 minutes before and sign some HOF autographs before.
That would be amazing. I mean, just as somebody that grew up in the Bay Area right around that time, I mean, I was kind of devastated when they traded for him because they traded away my guy, Matt Williams. But within like a few months of him being on the Giants, I remember I went out and got his jersey. So he's one of my favorite players. And then the other thing is, I was just telling Brian as I was walking in here, there's a decent chance. Now, Kent's son is hurt right now, but he's supposed to be back pretty soon. So we
Yeah.
should have him because he was playing at the high level. But they drafted, we talked about this too, they drafted Barry Bonds' nephew. So we could end up with
Right.
Barry Bonds' nephew
That's
and
nuts.
Jeff Kent's son in the same lineup.
You
as
might
Trent
have to
Championship.
seat those two on opposite sides of the park.
Perhaps if they know the family history, perhaps.
I think the dads are going to talk about this.
I think it's
You do have right now their number one prospect, though, the 19-year-old who just
Yeah.
came up from San Jose for you guys. Joshua Gonzalez, Rodriguez on there. who-
Gonzalez and Hernandez are the two hot
Yeah.
prospects down in San Jose.
Yeah.
We'll probably have them next year, but Johnny Level is the guy that
Yeah,
came up
Level's
here
up
in
there.
May or June. Yeah, I mean, the Giants have so many middle infield prospects. It's crazy because we had Level came up as a 19-year-old and he kicked the first rounder from last year, Keelan out of Tennessee. He kicked him over to second base, and then since then, Keelan's now up in Richmond in Double A. I think he just hit his first Double A homer either today or yesterday. So they are rich with. They have Maui Ahuna, who was just with he was with Tennessee and he was their second round pick a couple years ago. So there's a lot of shortstops coming through the system right now, which is kind of interesting because they signed Adames for so long. There's not really much place for them to go.
Well, and they also have Devers, who is not a middle infielder, but you can't stick one of those middle infielders necessarily on the other parts of the infield as well. So I do think it's interesting what the Giants did. I think it totally made sense for them to be a seller, especially with unfortunately the Dodgers in the division. And I'm just curious your thoughts on the way that it's like this wave of prospects, right? And because of the teams now and the way they operate, they're not going to let guys walk away without getting something out of them. And you see these rental deals, right? And so I think that's created this sort of like these waves of prospects that come in. And so have you seen that like over the course of your time at the Emeralds where it just changed and all of a sudden now it's not, I mean, obviously there's movement all the time, but where all of a sudden you just get this wave of talent?
We've gotten lucky here and there. I mean, I think it was our second or third year with the Giants. There was a point where we had like 3 or 4 first rounders on our roster at the same time. Just kind of worked out with some injuries and some guys being drafted younger. But yeah, it comes together like that, and it's pretty special when you get these guys. Like I said, in 2021, we just ran through the league, and we were kind of doing the same thing at the start of this year. And I guess now that we're in first place in the second half, we're continuing that. So it's pretty exciting when you got those guys. And especially, I'm always like kind of partial to having the hitter prospects. It's just kind of more interesting to see the guys every day rather than once every 5th day for 4 or 5 innings if they're a starting pitching prospect. So I think it's pretty fun when you got some hitters and you can put together these lineups that are like, we're strong top to bottom.
Jacob Hayward, the manager, and we are with Matt Dompe, the general manager of your Eugene Emeralds, playing at PK Park. They're away until the 14th when Hillsborough comes to town, so you got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday opportunity, and then they extends into the next week as well. You got a long homestand after this long road trip that the team is currently on. So let's talk postseason a little bit because, again, we started the show with saying, Eugene they've already locked in their slot for the Northwest League Championship Series. So how does it work if there's so say Eugene wins the second half as well. So now instead of playing the first half, second half winner, then it's going to go to which team? Is it the best? I think it's the best overall record, right? That's what Goose was telling me. Or is there another scenario?
Well, now you're putting me on the spot. They
Yeah.
they changed the format every like 3 years. They changed the format.
So we're not sure yet.
If you gave me 5 minutes to Google, it's either the second place of the second half or it's the second place overall. They made a switch. I don't know if you remember this. In 2017, there was this weird scenario where the Tri-City Dust Devils had to lose their final game of the year to make the playoffs.
We talked about this, I
right?
think. Yeah.
And then the next, so they reversed the rules. So it went from either the overall second best team to the second half second best team. And what the negative consequence of that the next year was your Eugene Emeralds were the worst team in the league in 2018.
Got in.
But somehow snuck in and then won 5 games in a row and won a championship that we called the WTF Worst to First Championship.
There's also other connotations
Yeah.
for that. There's other ways to explain that.
But you guys deserve that after the Pat Murphy year when you guys had like the best overall record,
And
but you
didn't
didn't win
make
the
it.
first half or the second half. And poor Pat Murphy, who I don't know what happened to him, if he is still in
Yeah, I
baseball
don't know
anywhere
where
or
he
not.
is.
But Pat Murphy had the best overall record, and he's like, we had best overall record. We can't get in because we didn't win the first half or the second half.
Yeah, I mean, no matter, that's why they change the formatting every few years
Yeah.
because they're like, well, this one didn't work this way, but then it opens up a door for something else weird to happen. So either way, we don't know who we're playing, but it's a best of 5 series. It'll start our first home game will be game 3 on the 11th, which means the 8th and 9th will be on the road somewhere. We finished the season in Hillsborough, and I'm trying to figure out what we do, what to tell our bus company,
Yeah.
like, well, where do we go? We might just come home and then figure out where we're at. That's kind of a waste of time driving 2 hours away from everybody else. Our preference would be if Hillsborough, like I said, gets hot and we can play them
Stay up
and
there.
Stay there.
go and we'll see a couple playoff games up in their new ballpark.
Just make sure you're getting late checkout in the hotels,
Yeah,
right? For
for
everybody.
sure.
Okay.
It's not for Tom. Hey, I felt old this year when my son turned 18, but now I feel old because I just learned that Sluggo is turning 16 this year. That makes me feel real old because I remember when little old Sluggo was born. But August 20th, you guys are celebrating that one. And what's going to be on tap for the birthday party? Do we have Sweet 16?
Whoa,
Is
wait,
there
hold on a second. Sluggo celebrating his birthday on August 20th?
Yeah. At Danny's birthday?
Yes, that's my birthday.
He might be are you an inverse 16 or we don't want to say
No, we don't. No, actually, I'll be 62.
Oh, almost inverse Danny.
I
Okay.
just missed it.
Well, he's
Okay.
there's gonna be a ton of mascots there, and I know they're working on some kind
And
of.
I'm sorry,
skit
it's
where
actually the
he's-
19th. I'm sorry, the
The
19th
19th,
is
the
the
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
You
My
just
bad.
burst
But
my
but we're gonna
bubble.
have but now the 20th could be
That's
Danny's birthday
open.
party
Yeah,
at the ballpark.
that promo's open.
Are we going to have a mascot race, please? Please, can we have a
I don't know
mascot
if we're
race?
having, they usually play like a kickball game
Okay.
before the game, and then I know they're working on some kind of skit where Sluggo's going to get his driver's license for his 16th birthday.
Ah, there you go.
I'm not sure exactly how that's working, but
Okay, well, that'll work well. So we're here with Matt Dompe, the Godfather. That's what we call him here, Eugene Emeralds. So we've had some people call in as well before you came on the show, and we touch on this every few times when you're on the show, so we haven't asked about it for a second. So the situation with the Emeralds in terms of at PK Park, I mean, it's been much discussed and voted on and such. So is there any kind of update that you can provide the fans? Because we're still getting those questions. I know you get them as well. So let's give everybody an update.
yeah, I mean the latest really is we're here for at least 2 more years.
Okay.
So the 2027 schedule we're going to release it next week.
Okay.
And then 2028 we fully intend and we will be here because we don't have anywhere else to go. So
Mhm.
right now the city of Medford has moved forward with, and we're splitting the cost on getting the drawings, designs, all the due diligence for that project down there. That price tag and design should be ready in October, November. So then it'll be up to the city of Medford. So even if they were to decide, say by Christmas, that they want to build this, it's still going to take 2 years to build it.
Got it.
So that's kind of the latest is we have at least 2 more years here. And that's kind
Okay,
of what I
well,
got for you.
that's the update. I mean,
Get your 2028 season ticket.
Yeah. On sale now.
And listen, I have to say, because I've been to a couple of games already and seen the crowds, and the excitement around the team has been, to me, it's been one of the best I can remember in the last 5 years. So, I mean, I don't know what your assessment is or what the gate looks like for you and what your response is to that.
Yeah, no, our attendance is up about 10%, and we've had a lot of fun. We've got, the weather's been amazing this year, current smoke AQI levels notwithstanding, but it's been a great time out at the ballpark. We've had great numbers and good promos and just a lot of fun. And yeah, it's been one of our best years. I think it actually is our best year since we've gone full season.
I know you got a week or so here with the kids, which is great. Would you guys come back on that Friday, the 14th? That's the new thing, is the drone shows. We're seeing more. Have you guys had those before this year? And is that, I mean, it used to be fireworks. Now it feels like the drone shows. What are those like to kind of put on? And what have kind of been the reaction from the times you guys have had them?
It's a lot of oohs and ahs. I think this is the third year in a row we've had them. And they're really cool. The way you can tell them, like, hey, we want to see this and this. We want Sluggo's face in the sky, and they can dial it up. And this year it's cool. We're actually piggybacking with the night before the Boys and Girls Club Field of Dreams big fundraiser is going to happen on the field, where we have dinner in left field and do their big auction. And then that is going to close up with a drone show for the Boys and Girls Club. And then we're doing it the next night at our game. We did do it last year. I think I might have talked about this last time I was on, where we figured out that you can't do or shouldn't do drone shows on the summer solstice in late June.
21st?
We had an hour and 58-minute game that started at 6:30, so it wasn't going to get dark for another like 45 to 60 minutes after our game ended. We're like, I think mid-August sounds a lot better.
Is that a local company? And I don't know who it is, but is that a local deal, or is that kind of a group that specializes in major events and kind of moves around that? Is that too big of a deal? I mean, there's probably not as many places locally to do it to sustain a company, but I assume that's kind of a roving company.
Yeah, they're a roving company. They do most of the teams in the Northwest, and I think they're out of Utah. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they're the group that we've used the last few years.
That's awesome.
Well, Godfather, we wish you much success, and we're going to have you back on at least one or two more times before the end of the season, and then we'll talk about the postseason as well. This is exciting. I mean, the M's are in. It's got to feel good to know that it's already locked out that, you're going to be playing some more September baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Our ticket sales are already great for that weekend, so we're hoping to get 2 or 3 more games and, spray some champagne at PK Park.
Knock it out of the park. All right, Godfather. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Yeah. Matt Duffy, the Godfather, joining us here on The Drive. When we come back, a little bit more from Jamarcus Shepard. And is it better to consistently get close and lose, or to not be good every year?
That's funny, because the Emeralds used to not be good every year. And so Matt will tell you it's been much better in the recent years to get close and lose, because for a long time they did not get close.
These guys are trying to get me to say a word that got me in trouble
The
when I
M's
was
sucked
young.
many years. There was no doubt about that.
Okay, there we go. When we come back on The Drive.
Don't change the channel. Your radio might explode. Okay, not really. But you miss a minute of The Drive, you might miss something, well, spectacular.
On we go.
The Drive is back on 102.9 FM and 1050 AM. The Sports Animal.
Iconic summer moments deserve an iconic drink. Reach for Mountain Dew, an American original. From its beginnings in the foothills of Tennessee to your biggest summer yet. The refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect companion to your American summer adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since '48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com. Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
The plans you have for your property need the right equipment. Kubota has reliable tractors, utility vehicles, and mowers to help you make the most of your land, along with strong dealer support. Stop by today to explore our lineup. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0% financing or save up to $3,500, plus a first-year K-maintenance service on us. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Mid-Valley Tractor in Eugene. 40 years, family owned. Find them at midvalleytractor.com.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 10 million people without destroying your credit. They can reduce your interest rates, lower your total payments up to 50% to get you out of debt fast. For a free consultation, call Consolidated Credit now. The program works.
Call 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107.
Consolidated Credit Solutions Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Kansas CSO 0019051. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 892. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission, license number DC83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debt may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action. Actual interest rates, length of program, and monthly payment reductions will vary by consumer and creditor. Yours could be higher or lower. Not a loan company. We do not lend money.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
Sometimes they're right.
Rest my case.
Sometimes they're wrong.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
But no ears were harmed in the making of their disagreements.
I don't know what we're using about.
You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Top of the 5 o'clock hour, we'll have Angie Machado. We call her Ace, 24/7 Sports at Beaver Split. She's the owner of that fine publication. I know we're going to talk a little Mitch Dowell, the offensive coordinator. We have a little bit more from DeMarcus Shepard. We'll get to one of those cuts in this segment, Baby J, or near the top of the hour. We'll do it near the top of the hour. That longer one about players embracing what the program wants to be. Well, let's do that near the top of the hour. And
I just want to say here real quick. I like how Goose is just really vibing with the music today.
Yeah.
I think he's enjoying what my
starting to catch on to some. Yeah, you get some good. I'm trying to be hip and say some good. I was going to say some good beats or some good tunes.
Yeah,
the kids probably
good
call it something
vibe.
else these days.
That works.
That
That works.
jam.
Good stuff. I like it.
We had one that sounded a little bit like Bill Withery.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
So it's Lovely Day is where I'm when I hear that,
know
I
the
think
song,
of
yeah.
Lovely Day is what I'm thinking of.
Great song.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So a little bit later on this hour, do NFL running backs deserve more? Do you mean more money, Baby J? Is that what
More
we're asking?
money, just more
dollars?
credit,
Okay.
more of everything.
More credit. And how long should rookie quarterbacks sit
you know,
before
they're-
starting? No,
you know-
I got you. How long should a rookie quarterback sit before starting? Obviously, you're talking about Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I think so. I'm going to write
Maybe.
him down as
We'll see.
I'm going to write him down
Goose doesn't
to
think
say.
so.
He's stoic over here, Goose. Are you
Goose
just?
thinks it's all Kurt Signetti.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You're putting words in his mouth now.
Yeah, no, I mean,
challenging
I'm not
Goose.
sure he's the best #1 overall quarterback ever selected in NFL history, and that some others might not have gotten ahead if there'd been a better draft. But he's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm not going to
He's
go
fine.
that far. If you missed any of the program, you can catch us on the podcast wherever you do your pods. You know, the Apple, Amazon, Spotify, iHeart. We're on there now. You just go Sports Animal EUG, and you can find us there. You could hear in that first hour Isaac Streeter, and you just missed Matt Dompe, who broke
Some
a little
breaking news. Yeah.
So he just said we were asked by a listener
Correct.
to ask him the question, which we were going to ask anyway, is, it's not a secret that the Emeralds, because of MILB, MLB, and there are certain requirements on what stadiums and locker rooms and other facilities need to be a certain level. PK Park doesn't meet some of those things, and so there's going to have to be a renovation. They couldn't come to an agreement. They looked for a new ballpark to build. They couldn't come to an agreement with the city or the county or the voters on it, and so they're relocating. But he just said, buy your tickets for 2027 because they're going to release the schedule, and also go ahead and buy them for 2028 because they're going to be here 2028 at least.
Yeah, which is great news. I tell you what, I mean, I covered the M's for 21 years, so a lot of my
and
people,
you wrote a book.
I did
on
write
the
a book on
M's.
them as well.
You're welcome. I just sold 2 more copies for you. Just
Hey,
because I said that.
I got paid in advance. I don't get any royalties unless Matt wants to change that around and start paying me royalties for it. I'm all paid up on that one.
Okay.
I swear to you, though, the question that people, and I covered high school, Oregon, M's, the question that I've been asked the most by people in the last 5 years is how long are the M's here? And I swear to you, most people I talk to say this is the last year of the M's, right? And it's all, there just hasn't been as much. I don't feel like local news has gotten as much of it out there. So I'm glad that you asked that question and cool of him to, but so now for fans who are listening, yeah, for people who think this is the last year of the M's or next year's the last year.
No.
It is 2028, as Matt just said right there, at least 28. I think their contract would I think 29 if they need to stay,
30.
they can do that.
It's up through 30. I already know that.
Okay, so there, but now, anyway, Matt has told you 28. So so fans who are thinking, hey, the M's are leaving, tell your friends so that they don't keep asking me how much longer the M's are going to stay. The M's are going to be here through 28. And I'm glad that now that I have talked to Matt about that the next time somebody asks me, I don't say, well, I think what I've heard is this. I can tell them from the Dompe's mouth.
The Godfather. Say the Godfather
awesome.
Told us.
That's awesome. So
all right.
Glad to hear it, and who knows.
So
strange things happen in this world. 2 years, things can change. Maybe we can keep them around a little longer. We'll see.
Well, so buy your Powerball tickets. That's all I have to say about that.
If I did that, I'd buy a radio station. But.
Well, I know one that you might be looking for a partner for. So, Baby J, you threw out this topic, and I think it's a good one. Is it better to consistently get close and lose, or basically suck every year? I just went ahead and said it. My mom is listening right now, and she knows the history on this. And I was not allowed. That was a vulgar word in our household. You could not say that word in our household. So
Won the World Series.
Yeah, don't suck. So I'll throw it out to you. So to me, I'll dive in. I think it's better to be close and lose rather than just be bad. Yeah, that to me is just, that's really not much of a choice, but I know that there are people that would just say, you know what, I'd rather not have the hope.
Right.
And just know that when we go into this, that it's the Bad News Bears and we have no shot at this whatsoever. And then if you get one that is a flyer, then, wow, that was magical. What do you think? Okay, well, you brought it up, AJ.
Let me put it here.
Sure.
I'm going to put it in a different way. Let me ask you this. I think this is an interesting way to look at it. If I told you for the last 15 years going back, you could have been an Oregon football fan or an Indiana football fan, which one do you take?
Wow,
because you're an Indiana fan. You got 13 suck years, but you've got the pot of gold that you were looking for. If you're Oregon, you got 15 pretty good years, but you never got there. Which one would you take?
In my lifetime, I can relate to this as a Cubs fan.
Yeah,
they were bad. For most of my adult life, they were bad. And so when they finally won a World Series, it was like the best day of my life when that happened. As a sports fan, they were bad. They were historically bad.
It's a level of incompetence. It's sort of what I was getting at with this question of, a team that you just know in and year out, they're not going to make the right moves. They're not going to put the money in. You don't have any real hope, right? I do think it's interesting if you change it a little bit, like your question, because I do think that changes things. If you're telling me, okay, you can suck for 14 years, sorry, Danny, and Danny's mom, and 1 year you win the championship, I don't know. I might do that over 15 years of getting second place. I'll tell you that.
I'm just telling you, to answer your question, I would absolutely rather be an Indiana fan.
I think so, because it makes it that much more special, right?
Right. I mean, you go through the woeful years, and then all of a sudden you climb the mountaintop.
Yeah.
There's only one that ends up with the trophy at the end of the year, and you got that. They can't take it away from you.
Yeah.
Unless you're Michigan.
Now, I might go on the other side and say, hey, there were a lot of fun Saturdays during those 15 years at Autzen Stadium that we got to enjoy that if you're an Indiana fan, you didn't have as much of. So I might say I can deal with the end not being there if I have, 5 to 7 really fun Saturdays and being competitive. But I get what you say, because the Oregon fan would sell their soul for that national championship, and Indiana got it on the one. So I think it's an interesting, I would love to hear fans out there if you want to call in. Danny knows the number.
It's right there on your
hidden
screen.
behind you,
It's
Danny.
It's 541. I'm looking at it right here on the YouTube. 541-844-3484. Listen,
if
I
I
was the one who picked the number, so I should probably remember it. 877-844-3484.
If I can take you back to 2012 and say for the next 15 years you're a fan of Oregon or Indiana football, and now you know how that ends up. Do you want the consistently good but not to the mountaintop, or the stinks for 13 years, a really fun year in the mountaintop? I'd be curious to know if fans which one of those they would choose.
It's a great question. I could also turn it around to like that and even be more have a finality to it, is that be really good and be competitive every single year and be in the conversation, but never win a national championship, or the same thing.
Yeah.
Be really bad for a long time, but then you get one where you have a magical year.
The Marlins fan. Would you like to be the Marlins fan and you
Yeah.
go all in and you get the win and then you
Right.
sell everything off and you have 10 terrible years, but you've got 2 rings if you're a Marlins fan, and if you're a Mariners fan, you're like, hey, we've had some pretty good years. It's been pretty fun, but we've never won it. Would you rather be a Marlins fan or a Mariners fan? Would you like to have those high highs, but then a ton of lows? Or would you rather just kind of be kind of involved and interested for a while, but never get into the top?
Well, the way I think about it is this, and I have a friend that started this conversation with me, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it here. And he's actually a Cowboys fan like you, and he's constantly saying like, it's the worst team to be a fan of because, and he's about a little bit younger than me, but he hasn't seen all the championships and all that stuff. So for in his lifetime, they've basically made it to the playoffs most years, and then
They've
when
never
they
won a
lose-
game in the playoffs.
Right. And well, they beat Tom Brady, but before then they hadn't won in a while. But my point is, it not only that, and the Cowboys are kind of a unique case too, because everybody makes fun of the Cowboys when they lose in the playoffs. And so I kind of understand that case, but I just think about me as a Packers fan, where Packers have been very consistently in the playoffs. They get to the NFC Championship game and they lose, except for one of the years in my lifetime where they did win. But I would rather have the ability to say, hey, I watched a lot of fun games. Things meant something. I got to go up and, watch my team play meaningful games. That's better than not having a team that you can feel like you can be proud of, right? Because even if you don't win, I mean, this is the thing about sports. One team wins in every single sport every single year. It is really hard to win a World Series. It's extremely hard to win a Super Bowl. You have to enjoy the journey. And there's been, like Danny said, there's been how many Cub fans that lived and died without seeing their team
Red
win,
Sox fans.
And Red Sox fans. I mean,
Royals fans.
Royals fans. There you go. And there's
Goose.
the Oregon fans like that, where they're, they lived and died without seeing their Ducks win a championship. So that's, again, when you win that one, man, and I can tell you as a Cubs fan, that is just, I mean, in my lifetime, I have never felt anything like the Cubs winning the World Series and it being a real thing that I can look back on and just go, wow, I can't believe that happened.
So where do you fall on this conversation?
Definitely on the, I would rather consistently get close and lose every year.
Yeah, especially when it says lose every year, because then you've almost lost your fandom at that point. You're just like, I'm not,
no hope.
Yeah, I'm just, if you're a baseball fan, hey, by June 1, I'm out. At least if it keeps you engaged. As a fan, you want to be engaged in it. And if it leads to heartbreaks, hey, that's part of being a fan is you deal with the heartbreaks. I'd rather be invested and have a reason to be invested in the team and be let down than to just be like, here we go again.
I like the way you twisted that question around, though, and I like. Don't you agree? The way
Yeah,
Goose put
it's
it is
interesting, 'cause that's a real
much more
decision, I
true.
think, at that point.
That's absolutely you win. You sell your soul for one season.
Absolutely.
And then be bad for the next 10
What
years
do
or the
they
next
say?
50
I guess
years.
Flags fly forever. Isn't that the line? Hey, you
Yeah.
get one, flags fly forever.
Finish off with this. So how many years is it until you'd rather just get second place every year? Is it 100? I mean, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, Indiana was the losingest team of all
Right.
time. So we could go back to, 40 years. Although if you go back to 40 years, then you're involved in a bunch of years when Oregon wasn't good. So that's why I put it on the 15 to say,
Sure.
hey, you could be pretty much good every year, or you can have just 13 bad ones. And then, hey, we took one step and we got there ding, ding, ding at the end. I think it's an interesting debate because, and look, if you're the athletic director at that school, you want the fans to be, you want to do it every year because that's building your ticket sales.
Yeah, that's right.
But as the fan, yeah, you might say, hey, I'd give up some of those, what was it, Alamo Bowl appearances and Sun Bowl appearances when we were good in
Las
Indiana.
Vegas Bowl.
And Indiana was sitting home to have the one where we get there.
All right, call the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. We're going to take a quick break. 541-844-3484. Toll free, 877-844-3484. You want to talk about what we just discussed? Anything that we have on the table? It's open for you. Do NFL running backs deserve more money? How long should a rookie quarterback sit in the NFL before starting? We'll talk about those topics next. Angie Machado, top of the hour here on The Drive.
Nothing is too big for the sports animal to handle. That's what she said. You're home for me, Dan Patrick, 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays, and The Drive with Danny, Steve, and Justin from 3 to 6. This is the sports animal.
It kind of sneaks up on you. You're more tired than you should be, a little less focused, a little less motivated. Maybe you've gained a little weight. It's normal. A lot of men experience it, but that doesn't mean you have to live with it. At Hale Men's Clinic, personalized testosterone therapy can help you restore your energy, your clarity, your edge. Real solutions, real results. Hale Men's Clinic. Feel good now. Curious about your levels? Walk into Hale Men's Clinic in Eugene, Bend, or Roseburg for your free testosterone test today. More info at halemensclinic.com.
I've seen it, I've covered it. I'm Alex Rogers, your local farmer's agent in West Eugene. When you need auto, home, life, or business insurance, Farmers can help you protect everything you've worked so hard to achieve. I really enjoy what I do, and I can help you understand all your coverage options. When I'm your farmer's agent, you're not stuck at the mercy of some computer. I'm your advocate when you need help. Visit my office today at 1154 Garfield Street here in Eugene, or give me a call at 541-284-2804.
A college security officer called to tell me there was a drinking party on campus. The officer said there had been excessive drinking, and our son was in the hospital for alcohol poisoning. He said my husband and I should come as soon as we could. I knew my son would face distractions and temptations when he went away to school. He already had unfortunate experiences with alcohol, and he was a little too good at fitting in with the crowd. I had no idea things could get so much worse so fast. A nurse suggested we attend Al-Anon family groups. Even though our son claimed his drinking was no big deal, he said he was not an alcoholic and that he could quit whenever he wanted. I didn't want to go to an Al-Anon meeting, but I'm sure glad I went. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Ready for our little forest adventure? There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
1050 AM and 1029 FM and the sportsanimalueugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Angie Machado from Beavers Blitz is going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. If you miss any of the program, go back to the podcast. We're also recording on YouTube, and you can comment right there on YouTube, just like Mac to Matt. That's Matt Court, third court, to Matt Knight Arena. I'm sure that's what it is. I think I see his profile there on Twitter, a couple of Oregon basketball players. So Mac Court to Matt Knight Arena. And he says, curious to find out what Jamarcus Shepard's coaching acumen is like.
We'll find out once the game starts.
Yeah, we'll hear a little bit more from Jamarcus Shepard as well and what he liked from day one. Jaheim Patterson Van Well, potential return there. Players embracing what he wants the program to be. I'll tell you, the first impressions I've had of Jamarcus Shepard, overwhelmingly positive. Young guy who's got a lot of energy. Oh, my gosh, he's got a lot of energy. And they're going to need that. They're going to need that. They're going to need money. But most of all, they're going to need players. And he's got a few now. He's got a few.
Yeah, and they've had good coaches, but boy, Trent Bray didn't have much energy in terms of to the public. Jonathan Smith didn't. Again, good X's and O's.
Mike Riley didn't either.
Mike Riley didn't either. It's been kind of Dennis Erickson since you had somebody who the fan base kind of rallied around. And again, Mike Riley was great, but he wasn't a guy who's going to show. And I think that worked a little better in the early 2000s before the social media world. We didn't need our coaches to be pumping us up, but now, especially if you're a program that's down, you want somebody to bring some energy in for the fan base, and I think we've seen that with Jamarcus.
You know what's interesting is that when you bring that up, I start thinking of Dave Cragthorpe.
You're gonna say another word you're not supposed to say on radio here.
I need to get that clip of Lou Holtz on
Okay,
here.
okay, that Dave Cragthorpe,
Joe Avazano.
Well, Joe had
Jerry
a personality.
Pettibone, Jerry Pettibone.
Jerry Pettibone was the other one that came to mind. Avazano had a personality.
He did,
I mean,
but that was back in the days when those coaches all were,
and they
at
were
the
not
lo-
very
they
good.
They were at the local bar on Friday night. Their personality,
Not
Rick
very good.
Brooks, all those guys, they were not afraid to go out and have a drink with the fans and tell you what they thought. Because again, nobody had a camera and could videotape them or a social media account and tell you what the coach said at the bar that night.
Listen, man, the Long Branch in Monroe was the
Absolutely.
stop after Civil War.
Absolutely.
Until
Chip Kelly waved and said, "Nope, we ain't getting out
We
and
ain't
meeting the
stopping.
people."
Nope, that was it. All right, so here's our topics that we're running through. Some of the ones we've already had. Of course, we had Isaac Streeter on in the first hour. Matt Dompe from the Emeralds was just in the studio. If you want to comment on anything we've talked about or take us in another direction, please do. The Oregon Man Clinics hotline is open for you at 541-844-3484. Toll free 877-844-3484. We're live from the Bigfoot Beverages studios here on The Drive, another hour and a half or so of this program. As I said, Angie Machado at the top of the hour. So do NFL running backs deserve more money? How long should rookie quarterbacks sit before starting? I want to start with the quarterback situation. Listen, we've seen it before. High-rated quarterbacks coming out, Heisman winners coming out. They get drafted by a team that is horrible because they're going to have the number 1, number 2 picks for the most part. And then they go to a situation where the whole team is in literally disarray. They don't have an offensive line. They don't have skill players. And they expect one kid, because they are mostly kids, to go and save everything. So to me, I think the perfect pattern of what can happen with giving quarterback success, and again, people say just because I'm a fan of the team and an owner,
I'm with you, 100%.
is the Green Bay Packers, because they did not rush any quarterback in the last 2 decades.
3 decades.
3 decades. Okay, thank you, Baby J. Before they were ready. And in fact, they got to a point where most of the quarterbacks that still wanted to stay there, they had to push them out the door and bring the other one up. So you start with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Those have been the 3 quarterbacks consistently, except for injury, obviously, that have been starting for the Green Bay Packers in the last 3 decades. And you can take a look at the Jets. You can take a look at the Raiders. You can take a look at even the Cardinals. I mean, they wrecked Kyler Murray.
Josh
They did.
Rosen. as well.
They pushed him out there way too fast. And I'm hoping that the Raiders don't do it to Fernando Mendoza.
And I'm glad you brought up the Jets, because another name I think we can think about here is a guy that just won the Super Bowl last year, Sam Darnold, who I believe started year 1 pretty quickly, did not work. We have the great quote about him seeing ghosts. You see that still online everywhere. And then you look at what happened to him. He goes and he plays under Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco for, I don't know, was it like 2-3 years, I think it was? Ends up on the Vikings. I don't know what the Vikings were thinking letting him go. And all of a sudden now he's a real starting NFL quarterback. And I'm with you, Danny. The Packers figured this out like 30 years ago. And it is unbelievable to me how you have teams year after year after year that make that decision to just put guys out there. The Rams are doing this with Ty Simpson, it seems like, where they drafted him in the first round this year.
Well, I think the Falcons rushed Michael Penix Jr. onto the field too fast as well. I think, and you can short circuit a kid's career by injury as well.
Like 29 at the time, though. So
That's true.
Michael Penix. Oh, sorry.
Well,
That's
he's
right.
supposed
He was
to be a
little
win
bit
now
older.
guy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you on that. But you just see it time and time again where these guys get out there and their confidence gets shaken. And, you know, some guys have early success and some guys don't. I don't think it's a one size fits all thing, but I think part of the reason why quarterbacks need to get out there, you have a GM that drafts a guy. There's obviously this politics involved where you don't want to have the drama. I mean, think about when the Packers drafted both Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. I mean, it was like so controversial. Like you can never forget, and people do sometimes, about Aaron Rodgers when he was drafted, like how much of a ruckus there was. And you see what happens with both of those guys. And there's some debate about how good Jordan Love is, but there's no doubt that with Aaron Rodgers and I mean, didn't a Steve Young sit for a couple of years under Joe Montana? I mean, like, we figured this out, guys. You got to let the quarterback sit. Tom Brady came out today and said you got to let Fernando go when he's ready. So what do you think, Steve?
Well, the interesting part about the Packer ones is both of those were pretty ugly transitions. Favre wasn't ready to go.
No, they're horrible.
And Rodgers wasn't ready to go.
No.
So you deal with, in both of those, you know, a moment where you come to where you got to tell the guy who's been there, hey, it is the next guys. And both those guys famously did not help the next guy because it was So then you go to the other side, which is the Patrick Mahomes one, to where they brought him in and had Alex Smith and said, you're sitting for a year. Alex Smith, he's sitting for a year, but he's our guy next year. And Alex Smith was, hey, I'm just happy to be the starter for this year. I'll get this guy ready, and you see it go. So it can go both ways.
But that was a plan, though.
Exactly. But I assume the Packer one was too. I mean, the plan is eventually this guy's going to be here, but you had Favre and Rodgers, who are both like, no, I'm not gonna push this thing down as far as I can, and neither of them walked away gracefully. Both of them kind of were told, hey, this is the time that we're making the change, and it got a little ugly. Whereas, yeah, if you could, and this could be the case with the Raiders because of the fact you have Kirk Cousins, who's not exactly, young and ready to go. You probably tell Kirk Cousins coming in, hey, Mendoza's definitely our starter next year. If you're good enough like Alex Smith to kind of lead us to some wins and you can do the whole year, you got this year. We're not pushing to put Mendoza in here to start this year. We'll give you this year, but know that this isn't a 3-year deal to where we're keeping him on the bench. I think that's the best way to do it. If you have a guy like Kirk Cousins who you say, hey, if you're good enough, it's your year and you just lead Fernando to next year. And Mendoza seems to me like the kind of guy too who would be sitting there saying, hey, I'm more than happy to take a year to learn. I'll save my body from some hits. Maybe it extends my career a little bit too. I learned some things. By the time I get out there, I'm not on a 4-13 team. Maybe I'm ready to get this team to 7-10.
The Sports Animal, this is The Drive here for a Weekend Eve. Thanks for hanging out with us in the Valley, 102.9 FM, the very smoky Valley, 1050 AM, as everybody gets refreshment while I'm talking. And then also over on the coast at Fox Sports Newport, 92.7 KNCU. So one other thing before we move to the running back room is I'll throw another name out there. And what the other interesting part of this whole starting a rookie quarterback and rushing him out there early is how you might push back their ability to learn. Like a Trevor Lawrence was pushed into the fire right away. And I think it set him back at least a year or two because when everything's coming at you so fast, you pick up bad habits, you make bad decisions and poor decisions that keep compounding. Now, he's fought through that, and he's become a pretty good NFL quarterback. But he's been able to raise his level of competence, but he had to do it in a trial by fire. And that's just one example of one that made it. I'll give plenty of examples of those that unfortunately did not have very good NFL careers because of their bad situations. And the first one is Captain Comeback, Joey Harrington. Went to a horrible Detroit Lion team. He's a talented guy, but he went to that team and he got basically beaten into the ground and was never the same when he came out of Detroit.
One that did get thrown into the fire and it worked out was Justin Herbert.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
Well, Marcus, and only because the guy got poked in the lung by the team doctor.
Total
he wasn't
accident.
Supposed to play that game.
And I think that's interesting with Justin.
Too.
Some guys are just, I mean, you talk
maybe
about
it's their mentality.
And you talk about responding to adversity. And I think he found out what was it, like 30 minutes for the game?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Like it was insane. So the fact that he came in there and he was one of those guys that they talked about as, wow, I don't know if he's going to be ready for the NFL right away. And then bam, it was like, how did we not see this coming? He had an arm, he had mobility.
But that's by far the exception. That's by far the exception.
Totally agree with you. But some guys are ready and some guys aren't. It's not a one size fits all.
And that proved, too, because that was a deal with Anthony Lynn, who was like, I'm not starting the rookie. I refuse to start the rookie. I'm starting Tyrone Taylor. And clearly in practices, he had to see that Herbert was better. We saw Herbert goes on to set, all sorts of rookie records in there. But he was like, nope, you got to prove it. I'm going to do this. And it's not until the doctor sticks something in poor Tyrone's lung that knocks him out.
Taylor's.
And Herbert has to go in there. And then Tyrone never saw the field again. And Herbert's, been there every game since.
But the Chargers weren't a horrible team. They were not in total disarray.
They weren't a good team, and they didn't have great coaching at that point, and they didn't have great coaching beyond that, but that's another side. But the point is, yes, that Justin Herbert was told, you're not playing for your debut. I'm sure he thought, all right, I'm going to be on the sideline here for a week or two, and then in 30 seconds. But that might help, too, that he didn't have to think about it for that, and then suddenly it was just like go in and go.
Just
and
do it.
Herbert's such a cerebral guy. He knew things, and he was ready to go on the fly. So I
would love to ask him that question about what was going through his mind when it was like, hey, dude, put your helmet on. You're in the game.
Well, they asked him, I saw his press conference when they asked him about getting engaged. And they said, did you think about this a long time? Or was it like when you became the starter and you found out, and the guy was like, you found out like a minute and a half before. And he's like, minute and a half? It was like 30 seconds. He's like, I definitely thought longer about proposing to this woman than I did starting the game.
Beer.
But yeah, no, that's an example of a guy who did it and took it. But yeah, it works both ways. I think Mendoza is, again, I think that's why you bring in a Cousins. It's not like they've got Aiden O'Connell ahead of him where it's like, all right, there's no chance this guy's going to be good for 4 games. So Mendoza's definitely starting game 5. I think they bring in Cousins with the shot that, hey, maybe he can get us through a year and he'll gracefully walk
if he
away.
Stays healthy.
This won't be a situation to where, there's, he's not going to be the father figure or the mentor. He'll do the Alex Smith part and mentor him like Smith did with Mahomes.
Do you I know you want to get in here, Baby J. Do you realize that Kirk Cousins, he's made $393 million in his NFL career.
The master of one-year contracts.
And $391 of those dollars, 391 million of those dollars, guaranteed money.
Yeah, because he was constantly just doing it was everybody wasn't want to do the franchise tag, but he just kept doing it because you get that top 3, top 5 money. You don't have the
Smart guy.
long-term guarantee, and if you're confident in yourself, you just keep rolling that thing over.
Smart guy.
Yeah, I would say Tom Brady, another guy that's sad as well. So, it's just one of those things where some guys.
But he was a 6th round. I mean, that wasn't a guy.
Totally
that
different
wasn't a guy
situation.
brought in.
I
like
would
that.
say, has there ever been a situation where we've seen a high-profile pick, a first-round pick, second-round pick that has sat for a few years where it hasn't worked, where it's just been like, oh, we wasted 5 years developing this guy? I can't think of any situation.
well,
There's-
I think if
haven't
we
been
think
enough
hard
of them
enough-
have gotten that time to do it. Nobody
and they've all
rushes
worked,
in it.
haven't they?
I think so. The other famous one was Steve McNair, that because he came from Alcorn State, and they just purposely they said you're not playing this year. This is basically a redshirt year, and then he was really good after that. But yeah, it's a good question, but I think the answer is nobody's been patient enough, other than the Packers, to sit somebody, because nowadays, if you took Mendoza and in 2 years you kept playing Cousins as the GM, the fans are gonna be like, hey, you made a bad pick. This guy's clearly not good enough. GMs. There's this pressure now that if we don't play him in a year or two, it looks bad on me. Like, hey, the guy I picked isn't good enough, even if you know. And again, that's not the case for the Raiders, because if he's not good enough to beat out Cousins after a year, it would be a little thing against him. But most GMs, if they pick that guy, they want that to be their guy. They're not going to sit there and say, hey, well, we're just kind of marinating him for a while. It's not really that way in the pros.
Well, final point on that. Sorry, I'm sorry. The Packers don't have an owner as well, so that's another unique situation for them, where they don't have an owner sitting there saying like, play this guy.
Yeah, but a GM, and that's more on the GMs than that. So, but yeah, point taken.
Depending on that situation, and I'll just throw out 2 more names, and let's head to a break. We didn't get to our other NFL running backs deserve more. Maybe we'll put that into the last hour of our program. I'll give 2 more examples of guys that I think have the potential of breaking that mold. Jaden Daniels is one, if he can sustain now another year after being hurt.
24-year-old rookie.
Right. And Cam Ward, I think, has an opportunity to be really good. So, and by the way, I'll recommend, I know you don't watch television except for sports, Goose, but this new edition of quarterback, I was telling you about it the other day, Baby J, the Manning guys do this. They go behind the scenes. This year, it is Joe Flacco, Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward, and now I'm going to blank on the last one. Gosh dang it. It's actually really good. Unique guys need to watch.
1050 AM, 1029 FM, and the SportsAnimalEugene.com. Other stations can say they cover the Ducks.
Upgrade your home's curb appeal, thermal efficiency, safety, and security. A new garage door checks all those boxes, and All County Garage Door is here to help. From new doors, new operators, and any and all garage door operator repair, we have you covered. And with a 15-year reputation of top quality work and top-notch customer service, you can count on us. Give us a call at 541-521-8986 or visit us at allcountygaragedoor.com.
As a combat wounded veteran, I know how hard it is to come home and build a meaningful life. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. When I was in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. A rocket-propelled grenade exploded right under my seat. Traumatic brain injury, a fractured pelvis, severe burns. They didn't think I was going to make it. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
With DAV on my side, I was able to pursue my dreams. If my story can touch a heart, it can change a life. My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
LaToya Lucas. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. I didn't know the trees were so amazing. Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb. That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't change the channel. Your radio might explode. Okay, not real. But you miss a minute of the drive, you might miss something, well, spectacular.
On we go.
The Drive is back on 102.9 FM and 1050 AM. The Sports Animal.
Goose doing a little moonwalk here in the studio. You can't see that unless you're on YouTube watching us, YouTube or Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, folks, to The Drive. We head to the top of the hour. Angie Machado will join us from Beavers Blitz. But let's get one more quote in before we get to Angie in the top of the hour from Jamarcus Shepard. And he was talking about how his players have embraced the program the way Jamarcus Shepard wants the program to be.
It starts with one of the first things I talked about, which was family, talking about accountability, and then the toughness part of the program. And so I think I kind of spoke towards the toughness part when you talk about their breaking point. And a lot of people think of toughness as just a physical thing, but it manifests itself mentally as well. The family piece of it, I think we've grown there the most, without a shadow of a doubt. DeCorian Temple, one of our tight ends yesterday, we have what we call Tattoo Tuesday. I told them a story about me asking my grandmother if I could get a tattoo. I don't have any tattoos. But obviously I wanted one for a specific reason. And each of these young men, they have tattoos on their body that tell a story. He got up in front of the team and told so many beautifully scripted stories about why he had all the tattoos across his body. Every single one of them had meaning, from a best friend, from brothers and sisters, from parents. He just had so many stories behind it. That's how you grow a family within a program. He started to tell his why. It's written all over his body. And then the accountability piece, it really starts with us as coaches being consistent, never wavering, but then eventually it shifts over to the players. And that's the part that we're getting there. We're not all the way there, we're getting there. And there are a few that are holding others accountable, but I'm asking them right now, at least hold your position group accountable.
There you go. That's Jamarcus Shepard. We'll hear more from Jamarcus Shepard in the last hour here on this program. The Drive, we continue. We head into the third hour. Angie Machado at the top of the hour. Beavers Blitz. We'll talk a little bit more Oregon State football. Hang on. Oregon Man Clinic's hotline's open for you. A lot of open phones in the last hour of the program as well at 541-844-3484, 877-844-3484. Live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. It's Doc, it's Goose, it's Baby J, and you on the Sports Animal.
Sometimes they're right.
Rest my case.
Sometimes they're wrong.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
But no ears were harmed in the making of their disagreements.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
At Associated Heating and Electric, we've been the backbone of comfort and efficiency in homes and businesses for nearly 50 years. Our expertise spans everything from certified HVAC repair, installation, and maintenance to electrical, ensuring your space is not just comfortable, but safe too. So when your HVAC decides to quit or your lights throw a fit, we've got you covered. Trust Associated Heating and Air Conditioning, Electric, and so much more. Give us a call today. CCB number 258180.
Millions of Americans are glued to their TV weekly, watching a sport they love. Come and relive your childhood at A&J Sports Cards. They have a wide variety of sports cards and memorabilia. Eugene's home for collecting is A&J Sports Cards. Whether you're looking for the stars from the past or the present, you'll find them at A&J Sports Cards. They are here to meet your hobby needs. That's A&J Sports Cards, 1478 West 6th Avenue, 541-343-5561.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by the OSAA and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
If you're 19 or older with certain underlying medical conditions such as asthma or diabetes, you can get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're 65 or older, it is also recommended you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, no matter the season. Talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protectyourself. A message from the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew. So here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
KORE, Springfield, Eugene. I'm Steve Mims. You can listen to me on The Drive weekdays from 3 to 6 on the Sports Animal Eugene.
I think we have all these people on our YouTube channel because they're waiting for Ace, Angie Machado, to hop on.
Good
I
they're not
have a
waiting for
feeling
us.
that absolutely. We are all built with faces for radio, as they say.
Hey,
That's the old line.
hey.
Wait a second.
Didn't say that.
I said, I'm putting myself in that group. I'm not like singling you guys
And
out.
I was print before. I never have been pretty enough for TV. Radio and print, I guess, is probably there's a reason I've never been on the star, a star of stage and screen. Is that what they say?
Yeah. Goose, you are looking a little scruffy right now. Okay.
You know, I work remote. I have some things going on. I don't have to look too pretty these
You're
days.
trying to move a kid
I haven't.
all the way to Iowa.
I put on a shirt and tie the other day to meet with a client. It was the first time in like 3 months that
Did
I've
it feel
actually
uncomfortable?
No, it was like, hey, this is what my life was for a couple years. So anyway, life's good.
All right, Baby J's looking just suave.
I
sitting
save a
there
lot
in
of
the
money
studio.
on dry cleaning.
Well, I was
I
gonna
haven't had
say-
to do dry cleaning in like
Yeah,
3 months.
I
I used to have to do it monthly for a couple years there.
I don't
so
miss that either.
Life's good.
I just want to say that he
Yeah.
does Goose look good on our website, and I know that for a fact because I took that photo.
I just saw the one today, me throwing the baseball. I hadn't actually seen the picture of all our bios. I hadn't seen that before.
What do you think?
I think it looks great. We
Yeah,
all look
the
really
website.
good in there. Yeah,
yeah.
But
Even me. We all clean up nice.
Did you take the photo? I thought.
Well,
Deb
I
took
took
the
sorry
photo.
on our Twitter is what I meant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
no. My
Excellent.
I took the pictures. The other ones.
He took those
actually,
pictures,
actually,
though.
my wife took some
Yeah, I
of them
think
as well.
Deb took them.
Yeah, Deb took them.
Yeah, perfect.
So let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. Is she there? She is.
Yes, she
She's ready
is.
to go. All right. Good. Let's welcome in our good friend from Beaver Split. She owns it. She's a pretty big deal, and we love having her on. It's 24/7 Sports own Ace Angie Machado, and she joins us. Angie Machado 1 on the Twitter handles. Angie, how's life treating you?
It is good. Fall camp is here. It's like Christmas. It's my favorite time of year.
You always come with such a smile on your voice. I love it. So we've been hearing we just had the quote from Jamarcus Shepard where he was talking about Tattoo Tuesday and such. I mean, he is very engaging. Isaac Streeter was on earlier in the program and said that he got a stare down from Jamarcus in the press conference as well, in a very jovial way. this guy, I mean, if he can translate that energy into the players and on the field, I think Oregon State fans are going to be pretty happy come the beginning of September.
The energy is unreal. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, 37 minutes Coach Shepard spoke with us yesterday. I think you could have put all of Trent Bray and Jonathan Smith press meetings and it wouldn't have totaled 37 minutes. So no, it was, I mean, and I would say, I mean, you're going to get some coach speak and some, kind of smoke, but there was a lot of really substantive things that he said, and just building a program, his philosophy on building the program, building these young men. It's been energy. Like I said yesterday, that first practice, it was inside Reser first. So this was my 21st fall camp.
Wow.
That was
started when you were 13. Started when you were 13.
Yeah.
Wow.
Marcus actually said, "So you started it when you were 2?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah,
there you go.
There's the coach speak.
I should have gone lower. I started too high.
Yeah. So anyway, but they've always started on pro throw and been very just drill. I mean, yesterday felt like it was like the warm up for a scrimmage mid camp. I mean, that's what was going on. So good energy and just building the program. He told a story about how these guys, he wants them to value everyone in the program, whether that's fans, whether that's their janitor, Miss Marie, or Steve Lightning McCoy in the equipment room. And it was interesting today. I was waiting for the interviews to come, and I saw a lady. She was cleaning all the trophies in the lobby there of the Valley Football Center. And I walked over and I said, "Excuse me, are you Miss Marie?" And she said yes. And we ended up having a really good conversation. But she told me she's been there 22 years. Coach Shepard, his first day, like when he was touring the facility, actually came up, introduced himself, shook her hand, which she said, "I had taken off my glove and I was embarrassed." And he's the first coach that has ever done that. Yeah.
Wow.
So just a culture shift, right? It's just a different mentality. It's kind of an exciting time, I think, for Oregon State fans, or it should be for them.
Angie, I think Beaver Blitz needs to have like story time with Shep on there. Cause as I was listening to that tattoo one, it's like you could just, it's not like an answer in a quick one. It's like you could do 4 or 5 questions that could get you like a 30-minute podcast. He seems so thoughtful that, again, there's not, with the coach speak, he kind of goes back to an old thing, but I think you could find some kind of story time things and even away from football that he would be able to fill up a 30-minute podcast with.
When you listen to him, I mean, it's like he's so inspirational. I mean, you get the little nuggets about, how you do everything, or anything is how you do everything. He has all these little quotes, and his you are who you associate with. And he's got all these kind of folksy little things. But yeah, I mean, like him talking about motivating his Tyler Volton to lose 30 pounds. I'm thinking, God, can you come motivate me to lose the last 15, please? Come on, coach. But no, I agree. I mean, you just want to listen to the stories. I find myself as I'm watching, I'm filming the interview or asking, you can't help but smile when you're listening to him.
Well, you could hear everybody laughing in those press conferences as well. It's like he's definitely putting on a show, and he's one of those guys where I think you can't fake that. There's people that they kind of have that sort of energy, and then it just comes across as very disingenuous. He comes across as very genuine. How do you think that's going to translate, though? I mean, obviously we know about the talent level of this team, and he's trying to build it, but how do you think that's going to actually translate to the football field?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously building trust. He's working to build trust with his players, and they want to just see, improvements and a lot of that you hear from every coach, building improvement every day, 1% better. I think we heard from, was that Gary Anderson or Jonathan Smith? I mean, they all have their little buzzwords, but, I think his demeanor, now he'll be hard on them and he'll admit, I am so hard on these guys, but, I think they are starting to really love him and know that the coaching staff loves them. That's where it's going to come in. It's going to be important. They start on the road at Houston and at home with Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That's some tough sledding right there. So they are going to hit tough times, and so I think building this foundation and the trust that they're building early can help them when things go. I mean, like I said, it's more than likely they're going to hit some bumpy parts in the road. So they're going to need to kind of fall back on that trust and respect.
Angie, I was surprised when that preseason media poll came out and they were 8th, and I haven't analyzed all the teams, but I just kind of thought, on the surface that people might think, hey, with this thing comes, hey, 2 teams are coming down. We're at least out of respect of that going to put them maybe at least 4th, 5th type thing. I don't want to ask you where you would have voted on that, but were you surprised that they were 8th, or you know the roster better than me? Did you think, hey, yeah, it makes sense if you just look roster for roster and ignore kind of past history of these that they would be 8th? What was your reaction seeing that poll?
I thought I don't even know how official that poll was. I mean, I think there were like 14 or 15 people voting in it. I did not vote in it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknowns. And so I think if you're not following Oregon State, you saw how bad they were last year and how the wheels kind of completely just fell off. The program kind of just totally bottomed out. I think it's hard to judge. A brand new coach who's never been a head coach, an offensive coordinator who's never been an OC, and then a roster that, is 2/3 new faces. It's really, really hard to, kind of pin that down. So I think Jamarcus Shepard is happy about that. I mean, he didn't even know about the poll either, but and he said, I'm not even going to use that as bulletin board material. But I think he likes that role of underdog. Nobody's expecting anything. We're going to shock some people. But there is. I mean, I've been asked so many times, like, I still think this is a mid-level new Pac-12 team. I think they're going to surprise some people, and I think being the new coach, new staff, they might hit a bump in the road that they maybe lose a game they weren't expecting.
If you're a new coach, I'm sorry, I was just saying, if you're a new coach, you want to be picked 8th because nothing you do in your first year can disappoint the AD. If you're picked first, suddenly you got, it's great if you're 8th because if you finish 7th, hey, we overachieved.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, fans obviously, kind of get upset about it, but yeah, there's no expectations. And I think it's really hard, like I said, to even as someone that covers this team and has been around the program as long as I have, it's hard to even gauge because even in the past, you'd have roster turnover, but you still knew the conference better. And we didn't have the portal the way it was where, guys were popping in and out every year, your roster flips over, but you still knew, like, I kind of knew what USC was doing. You knew what UCLA, how they built their roster. You knew how Cal, it's all new teams now. So new teams, new everything. But this team is, I like what I see from, like I said, a culture. And a lot of times culture can, a really good culture can get you through some pretty rough times where talent maybe isn't there. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well,
how
Angie,
this keeps developing.
I think our brain trust here really isn't putting a lot of credence in that poll anyway because of the 14 people that were voting on it. One, it was like "Get Out and Get Bent" was the publication. I'm dead serious. Go look
it up. Yeah,
really?
Yes.
Yeah,
dead
Oh,
serious.
okay,
So
yeah.
it's
it was
like
the Texas State paper.
Yeah, but it was Les was in there from the GT. So I mean that's
Okay, yeah.
that was fine. But I mean,
Barstool Bees, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but Get Out and Get Bent, which is like, yeah, forget that. We're not going to worry about that. It's Angie Machado joining us. We call her Ace 24/7 Sports at Beavers Blitz. You can follow her, Angie Machado
Win
1.
Win now or get bent.
Win now or
It's
get
called
okay.
Win now or
I'd
get
rather say
bent.
Get Out and Get Bent because that was Win now or Get Bent. That's hand to God. That's what it was. All right.
Maybe that should be the new a new Beaver Blitz is, win or lose, we booze. Or something.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so you talked about the offensive coordinator, Mitch Dowling, just a little bit in passing. Let's dive in there a little bit more. So, I mean, it's really going to be really hard to get a sense of what this offense is going to look like because there's really not a lot of a tape to compare it to from other stops or along the way. So, I mean, are you getting a sense of what you think based on what Jamarcus Shepard has done as a coordinator before, and not a coordinator, but coaching wide receivers at Alabama and such, that he might want to have this offense look like?
Yeah, and Coach Dowling, we actually had availability with him today, and he talked some about this is going to be an offense, a timing offense. So receivers will be running routes all timing wise. So that gave us a little clue. They have a couple really fast guys. So you have some guys, and that's something Oregon State has struggled with the past few years, is they don't have, a receiver, a true receiving threat that scares anybody. So have a couple guys that are really, really fast. But what's going to kind of be the difference maker, I think, in the coach's eyes, is they have tight ends now. That so you have a couple really speedy wide receivers, and then you have a couple tight ends that have great hands and can block and catch. So like Coach Dowling said today, I got a 240-pound tight end going against a 180-pound safety. I'll take that matchup every single day.
Absolutely.
So I think there's that's how you're going to, look at weapons. He spoke today a lot about the quarterback getting the ball out. He wants the quarterback to get the ball out within under 3 seconds. So this is not going to be long drop back passes like we've seen in the past. You're not going to see 7-step drops anymore with this offense. So quick hits, get the ball out. They're really big into analytics and analyzing, how fast the quarterbacks are getting the ball out. They're analyzing their misreads, how they're doing it. Misreads. Is it long throws? Is it across the field throws? All the offensive line are getting judged on analytics. It's like high tech now. I mean, it's crazy. So he said, he goes, there'll be guys that'll think they had a really good practice, and then you sit down and start looking at kind of the numbers, and you're like, oh, it was okay, but it wasn't great. And then another guy might, I did okay. And you start looking and breaking it down, and it was like, oh, you actually had a pretty good day. So it's really intriguing kind of how they're looking at this offense.
And I think one thing that was brought up in Coach Shepard's press conference a couple days ago as well that I thought was interesting was about the fact that he had talked to, I believe it was the NCAA, about the potential return of Jaheim Patterson and Van Wells. Could you kind of clear up that situation? Obviously, they're going to have to figure that out, but exactly kind of what's going on there?
Yeah, so last Friday, there was an injunction basically for the class of 2022 guys that had only played 4 years and had a redshirt year. So everyone else, around them, the 2020, 2021 class, 23, 24 have all gotten 5 years to play. So there was an injunction that would say basically, as long as that player did not sign with a pro team. So, for example, Anthony Hankerson fell in that, but he had signed with the Dolphins,
Right.
so he is not eligible. And they would be able to come back to the team they were at. So they can't unless they were in the portal, which they all thought their eligibility was done. They're not jumping in the portal before that. So Patterson and Wells, sounds like they've been in contact daily, basically, with compliance and with all the, kind of figuring out, how this works. You don't on counts, scholarship counts, all of it, how it's going to work. But they are working through that, and I wouldn't be shocked if those two made a return.
Angie, I think the schedule is fascinating because they open at Houston versus Texas Tech. That's number 24 and number 12 in the country. They're going to be 3 touchdown underdogs in both. I don't think we anticipate anything more than that. The interesting thing to me, though, is can they come out of that beat down and it becomes, oh, no, here we go again? Because you got Montana, UTEP, Colorado State next, maybe some winnable games. But if you come out of it beaten down, I think that might be Shep's biggest thing during those first 2 is you're probably not going to win those first 2, but if you can come out of it feeling good about some of the things you've done, maybe that's the key to 6-7 wins. Whereas if that team starts to split because maybe they get blown out by Texas Tech and they lose by 30 to Houston, and then some of the stuff even still falls apart, I feel like how they react, win or lose, and again probably lose those first 2, but how they come back from that to them, because Montana at home, that's going to be a good Montana team. You lose that one, then suddenly it becomes here we go again. How they react after those first 2 against both ranked opponents could really tell where this season and maybe even the Jamarcus Shepard era goes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I kind of alluded earlier. This is where, I think building these foundations and trust now, and because Coach Shepard's going to have to be able to keep that locker room.
Yeah.
That's like you said, and it doesn't get easier. Like you said, Montana's going to be tough. Then you go on the road to UTEP. Road games are just tough in general. They just are. And then Colorado State on the road is not going. You have altitude. That's always a tougher game. So, no, you're right. And the first 2 games, I think you measure success maybe not in the win-loss category, but staying healthy, trying to minimize as many injuries as possible in those games, and then also really just hope yes, if they lose, that's one thing, but losing with some positives that they can build off of and keep the locker room engaged. It's dealing with 18 to 23-year-olds it's a fickle business. Sometimes the right coach can keep them engaged, and other times it can go sideways really quick. And we saw that last year with Oregon State and Coach Bray. Things got sideways really quick, and that's where I think a lot of this groundwork, foundation work, team building, all the kind of cliche things that will come in and be really, really important early in the season.
Well, come on, Angie, you know how to deal with teenagers.
I do. I got 2 of them.
I know. So
boys, like they don't talk to you. They, grunt. Yeah, I got one that's 18 right now. Yeah, it's fun. Love him to death.
Yes. Angie Machado won on the socials. We call her Ace here, the 24/7's Beaver Blitz. Might have a few announcements later on in the month into September, as well as we're going to have Angie on every single week now through the college football season. Angie, you're such a pleasure. Thanks for giving us a little sunshine here on this smoky Thursday afternoon.
Always, always, always. We'll talk next week, guys.
All right,
Thanks, Angie.
there she goes. Great,
Bye,
Angie Machado on the Oregon Bank Hotline, which is open for you now for the rest of the show. Open phones for the rest of the show. We've talked about a lot of things. When we come back, should new sports owners have to wait 5 years to move a team? Who do you think we're talking about here? When we come back on The Drive.
Nothing is too big for the sports animal to handle. That's what she said. You're home for me, Dan Patrick, 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays, and The Drive with Danny, Steve, and Justin from 3 to 6. This is the sports animal.
Yeah. Can you pass me a Baja?
A what?
Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Try it. It's tropical at first, then the lime flavor hits.
Oh, okay. It's crisp. Tastes like vacation.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And it's mine now.
Have a Baja Blast.
Enjoy cool savings on Mountain Dew fountain drinks all summer long. Any size for just $1.50 at participating convenience stores.
All bets are on at the Three Rivers Casino Resort Sportsbook in Florence. Bet 24/7 at our kiosks or download the brand new Sportsbook app today and get $10 in free bets. Place wagers right from your mobile device while you relax in your room, hit the casino floor, or grab a bite. Then catch the action on Oregon's largest sports betting screen. Visit threeriverscasino.com/sportsbook to learn more. The Sportsbook at Three Rivers Casino Resort. Winning starts here.
The plans you have for your property need the right equipment. Kubota has reliable tractors, utility vehicles, and mowers to help you make the most of your land, along with strong dealer support. Stop by today to explore our lineup. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0% financing or save up to $3,500, plus a first-year K-maintenance service on us. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Mid-Valley Tractor in Eugene. 40 years, family owned. Find them at midvalleytractor.com.
Times of transition, whether from a sad event or a joyful one, can leave us feeling adrift. Social connections become even more important. Being isolated and lonely can be harmful to your health. It can lead to high blood pressure, a greater risk of heart disease, and early onset dementia. So it's important to build and maintain connections to people whose relationships bring meaning to your life. Try a new hobby, volunteer, exercise, or use your phone or other device to stay in touch. These can be great ways to keep up your social connections and your physical and mental well-being. Visit connecttoeffect.org to see if you're at risk of social isolation and find ways to stay connected. Presented by AARP Foundation with support from United Healthcare.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey guys, Jason McCourty here. As a 13-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, people always ask me, what's it like getting ready for the big game? Let me tell you, it's all about preparation, knowing what you're up against, especially when food allergy is part of the game plan. When you're on the field, you're playing for your fans. At home, you're playing for your family. My playbook, read labels, keep it allergy friendly, and have an epinephrine nasal spray as a backup plan. Visit foodallergy.org to learn more.
1050 AM and 1029 FM and the sports animal Eugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to The Drive on the sports animal Eugene.
Open phones for you on the Oregon Man Clinks hotline. 541-844-3484. That is the local number in the Eugene area, up and down the valley, if you can hear us in the sound of our voice. Or if you're online and you can call in, you can do it on the toll-free line, 877-844-3484, just like you're out on the coast right now. Still a little smoky on the coast of Newport. Hi, friends out there at 92.7 KNCU. I'm Danny. That right over here is Steve, we call him Goose, and Baby J, Justin, producing, doing double duty. Hey, Justin, let's get the Jamarcus Shepard audio back up. But first, we had that was a great conversation with Angie Machado, by the way. I'm really going to look forward to having her as our Beavers insider throughout the entire season. Every Thursday, she's going to be on the program through football.
If you're putting together a media list of people to vote in your preseason coaches poll and you don't have Angie Machado in it, it's probably not a great preseason.
It's not credible to us at all.
You should be on that.
So Angie, we should give her a good follow on Beavers Blitz. Great reads. Spencer, all the folks, Ryan Harlan, everybody who puts a lot of stuff together there. Angie Machado won on the socials. So we're going to hear from Jamarcus Shepard on what he liked from day one. We touched on the Jaheim Patterson, Van Wells, a potential return, and then where he wants to go as a first-year coach. We'll hear all of that audio. But you asked that question near the end about how Jamarcus Shepard, there's a real danger here with the way the schedule lays out in the first 3 weeks on basically disengaging the fan base again with Oregon State.
Correct. And then the thing that I think, and again, for people who don't know, they open at Houston, which is ranked 24th in the country. They're home against Texas Tech, which is number 12. I was listening to John Canzano had an interview with Bruce Barnum, who's the old Portland State coach here today. And Bruce Barnum, it was a really interesting deep dive in. You know, Portland State every year plays 3 money games. They play Oregon this year. They go basically sign up for 3 games to get their
get a $500,000 check.
Butts whooped.
Yeah.
And he was pointing out, he said, hey, I would tell the next coach, get rid of those. I know it raises money for the athletic department, but not only does it beat your team's psyche down, but you also get beat up physically. You start losing players because if you're coming to Oregon, you're going to lose some guys. So now you're getting into your conference season. Your team's mentals are down and physically they're down. And he said, so I would tell the school, let's stop doing that. Even though it makes all the money for it, we can have a better chance of recouping that money later in crowd attendance if we're doing well. But it's just taking that. So that's where I look at Houston, Texas Tech. Not only, again, odds are they probably lose those games both by 30. And that wouldn't be any shame in that. But if that locker room then is like, hey, man, we're not as good, coach told us. But also, Texas Tech's got some big dudes. They might beat up some of those Oregon State guys. They might be coming out with some injury. They might be down psyche-wise and physically. And a Montana coming to home is like, that's the game your fan base is like, all right, well, we lost those 2 good teams, but this is where we're going to win. Montana can come in and beat an Oregon State team, and then you get into, well, now who are we going to beat? Whereas if you survive those first 2 and feel okay coming out, you beat Montana. I know UTEP's on the road, but UTEP's not great. Suddenly you can pave a road to 6 or 7, but you can also pave a road to 1-11 if those first 2 don't go well. And that's, I think, the danger of that schedule. If I were Jamarcus Shepard, I'd be telling guys, hey, we're going to go out and play this thing. We're going to test ourselves against it. But whatever happens, those next 10 are going to be more important to us than these first 2. And also, again, he may come out of it feeling like Bruce Barnum, be like, hey, man, I lost a linebacker. My running back got beat up. I got a tackle who Texas Tech's guy just ate for lunch, and now he might have lost his confidence.
And he's going to Kevin Griffin and say, we need to reschedule the next 3 years.
But he inherited it. So I think that, again, I really think those first 2, I think they're going to be 0-2. But I think how they come out of that 0-2 determines if they're 6-6 or 2-10 at the end. I think it'll be fascinating to see how that goes. And I think Montana might be the bellwether game of that, because if your crowd comes out and you watch them get your butts kicked by Texas Tech and then suddenly you do an FCS2, that fan base might be walking out going, okay, this hadn't really turned out.
And listen, I'll just say, and then we're going to hear from Jamarcus on what he liked from day one, Coach Shepard. Montana's historically either been in the national semifinal of the FCS or have won the whole thing.
They're not far down level from the new Pac-12.
No, they aren't. And they showed that with Oregon. They hung with Oregon for a while as well. That's not a bad program. All right, let's hear what Coach Shepard said he liked about day one.
Well, I loved seeing our defense early on get some takeaways. That was really exciting. We have to do that in order to win football games, and that's just the reality of the history of this game. You have to get takeaways and then don't turn it over. So I was happy to see our defense get a few of those. I felt like our quarterbacks were seeing the field really well. They threw some balls that I didn't think that they would have thrown during spring ball, and they took the liberty of attacking the defense a little bit more because they threw in some tighter windows, and it was good to see. It was good to see that they weren't reckless with the ball either. That, to me, is the part that we needed to clean up over the summer, and it looks pretty good today. They took care of it from that standpoint.
Coach Shepard on what he liked from day one of the fall practice, as both Oregon State, and a lot of other schools throughout the country opened up their fall readiness preparation for the opening of the season, which is coming up at the end of the month. It's right around the corner. Now, if you missed Andy Machado, who was just on with us, our Beavers expert from Beavers Edge, she touched on this ruling that could possibly bring back Jaheim Patterson and Van Wells on the potential return, and Coach Shepard addressed that as well in front of the media.
Right now, we are working through that with our compliance department, our athletic director, as well as the Pac-12 offices to try to make those things happen if it's something that can. At this point, we don't have clear direction in terms of how to do this, but there has been communication with them.
So what's interesting about that, guys, and I'll let you both jump in on this if you want, is that's going to affect a roster one way or the other. I mean, if you want these kids back and they're eligible to come back, well, then are you adding more to your roster? Are you subtracting somewhere? I mean, there's the unknowns, and the question about that, I think I don't want to say turmoil. I think that's an overused word, but it could cause some, pause of, okay, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do next?
Right. And so I didn't pull the audio for it, so I wish I would have had it, but he did get asked about that, if he's
I would have asked that question if I was in the room.
Basically, what he said was he's not only talked to those guys about it, there's other players that are potentially eligible as well, but he's talked to the team about it as well, about what they think, because it is a roster spot and it is about the whole total family. So I don't know. I mean, it does seem like to me, I just like the way that he was like, yeah, we're just going to try to figure it out and we're going to do whatever we can. And he seems really tapped in.
Talented
I
players.
like how he's thinking about not just those particular guys, but like you said, it's an interesting question. And he did talk to those other players about it.
There's a domino.
Yeah, and a couple more things that are interesting in the modern age of college football with that is, we now have roster limits. So I don't know if he's at, I think it's 110. I don't know if he's at 110, but if he's got two guys coming back, do you look and say, hey, to two guys, hey, we brought you in at 109 and 110. That's an interesting one. Also, NIL. I mean, your budget, I assume by the first day of practice, your budget's set. Do these guys come in and say, hey,
another good point.
I'd come back, but I also need 50,000. Do you have to go find more because it's a little late in the game for that? But maybe these guys are like, hey, I'm not playing for free. Do you suddenly have to worry about that? And I worry about that, not just Oregon State, but all the Indiana guy we talked about last week, the defensive lineman who's coming back, guys who've been declared eligible last Friday and are suddenly coming in, and maybe guys who are even bigger names and more, are some of those programs having to, if you're at the limit, go find some guys and say, hey, sorry, you got to go. And B, are they now having to call the donors and be like, hey, we need another 500,000. Sorry, we told you you were done donating, but these two guys just became available and we need them because these guys can't go in the transfer portal. These guys who just came out, they're saying that if they weren't in the portal at this time, you can't suddenly transfer. So like these guys who played for Oregon State last year, they have, if they're going to play, it has to be at Oregon State by what I've seen. They can't suddenly say, I'm going to shop myself around for the highest money. So do suddenly these coaches now thinking, hey, my roster's finally set, but now they have to find wiggle room in that? I think that'll be an interesting case for some of these situations.
And we can put this in the let's talk about college sports like pro sports conversation, where in the NFL or wherever, you can maybe go to your quarterback and say, yeah, we need like $5 more million. Let's renegotiate a contract real quick. And I don't think that's happening at the college level. There's no way, right?
And these guys aren't at that level. But like I say, if there was, again, the lineman we talked about in Indiana,
and they got another guy
who
today.
Probably got 300,000 last year to play for Indiana. Does he come back and say, you got to fund me up if you want me to come? I'm not going to do this for free. I mean, we used to do this for free in college, but now I'll go, get a job somewhere else and make something if you're not going to pay me anything for it.
We've heard a lot from Jamarcus Shepard outward about his team and about the attitude and the atmosphere and culture and building, that's the rock. They're building the foundation. So what we wanted to hear from as well, and he addressed it, is where Coach Shepard, wants to be and how he wants to grow as a first-year coach.
You don't know what you don't know. I remember becoming a parent for the first time. I had no idea where I needed to grow. I've done some self-assessment, but I've also asked individuals to do some assessment of me to really try to find out where I can grow. And some of those things won't manifest themselves again until we turn back around, when the transfer portal opens up, when spring ball comes up again, when the various times within the season, within the year come up again. those would be my opportunities to put those things to practice.
Well, I'll just tell you this. He gets an A for enthusiasm. Now, I don't know how the X's and O's are going to work out. Now he manages a team and game management and time management, all those things, and how he manages personnel and personalities, but he absolutely is an A across the board in terms of how he's engaging with the fan base and apparently with the players. When we come back, that question that's out there, should new sports owners have to wait 5 years to move a team? And let's talk about the Monster Energy Big 12.
Always. Love
Inside and outside. Goose is ready. I mean, he's looking it up right now. Come on back on the other side. The Oregon Man Collects Hotline open for you at 541-844-3484. Toll free 877-844-3484. Last couple of segments here on a Thursday on The Drive.
1050 AM, 1029 FM, and the SportsAnimalEugene.com. Other stations can say they cover the Ducks and Beavers, but we bring the receipts. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
When you're in Rome, you visit the Colosseum. When you're in France, you visit the Eiffel Tower. And when you're in Eugene, you visit Cracktown Pizza, Eugene's best pizza and a Eugene cultural icon for over 40 years. Great pizza, growlers to go, and Tracktown Pizza delivers to all of Eugene and Springfield. Tracktown Pizza, the best pizza in town. Call 541-284-8484 or visit tracktownpizza.com.
I've seen new customers come in distrustful of other auto shops, and I get it. They're worried about being taken advantage of. But at Sun Automotive, our compass is welded true north. Our focus isn't to make the most money. It's about making sure your 16-year-old granddaughter makes it over the pass in the middle of the night with no cell service and gets there. At the end of the day, our focus is your trust. For the best service under the sun, come to Sun Automotive.
Men like to get the most out of things. We expect results when we hit the gym, and we expect to finish our weekend to-do list. We also expect ourselves to never slow down, even when some things start to get a little harder. Low testosterone levels might be slowing you down. That's when Oregon Man Clinics step in. Sharpen your focus, regain energy levels, and improve your love life with treatment options tailored to you. Get the most out of being a man. Visit us online at our Springfield, Bend, and Albany locations.
Hi, Brad and my son AJ here with a word of encouragement from Cottage Grove Chevy. In these uncertain economic times, know that Cottage Grove Chevy is here for you today and tomorrow. Your need for a vehicle isn't going away, and we aren't either. We're proud to serve our customers for over 35 years, and we truly consider it a privilege. Your support is greatly appreciated. Cottage Grove Chevy is proud to be part of our community, and we're here for you. Thank you.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and a drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Don't change the channel. Your radio might explode. Okay, not really. But you miss a minute of The Drive, you might miss something, well, spectacular. On we go. The Drive is back on 102.9 FM and 1050 AM. The Sports Animal.
Also, if you miss any of The Drive, you can replay it on YouTube. Follow the channel. It's the Sports Animal. It's actually Sports Animal EUG. You know, we call it Sports Animal. That's what we call it over the air. But Sports Animal EUG, we're on all the socials, just like that. We try and make it very simple for you. Sports Animal EUG. And also the podcast. Wherever you podcast, subscribe. When we load up a new one, it will go right into your inbox or whatever feed you're on, and it'll say, hey, there's a new episode on. which is pretty convenient to remind you. It's like an automatic reminder. And then the last resort, but I think it should be the first resort, bookmark our website, sportsanimalEUG.com. Literally, it should be your landing page because we have everything on there. In fact, we have a little schedule that's going to be coming up of all the games, all the teams you follow. Tonight, right here on the Sports Animal, we'll have the Toronto Tempo playing the Portland Fire. AJ Cannell on the call here at 6:45 pregame, right, Baby J? I think that's when it is.
That is correct.
That is correct, sir. All right. Should new sports owners have to wait 5 years to move teams? Yes or no?
I saw this on Twitter, which is where all good conversations start.
That's a good start
Listen,
right there.
you got to go somewhere for your inspiration, right? Honestly, I'd like to hear some arguments against it, to be honest with you, because I do understand why, and I'm sure there's reasons why a team. I know Goose is going to be ready for this, but if you're talking about the spirit of,
You want me to take this one first? And then
Go
no,
for it.
okay. I'm going to let the youngster talk for a little while longer, and then I'm going to dive in. Oh, no, I'm listening. Go.
Now,
Go
for
ahead.
the owner, of course, you're going to want the freedom to move whenever you want, wherever you want. But for a league, right, that is going to be protecting its teams in some way, shape, or form, whether that's in the location they are or somewhere else. You've seen Major League Baseball, for instance, seem pretty okay with the Las Vegas Athletics, I should say. I just think that when it comes down to it, shouldn't there be some sort of safeguard to what Tom Dundon is theoretically trying to do, which is basically alienate an entire fan base and seemingly try to move out the team as soon as possible? Because other than basically Tom Dundon, who is benefited by the Portland Trailblazers leaving Portland?
Okay, so to me, I think there's two separate issues here. The question is, should new sports owners have to wait 5 years to move a team? That's one issue, but every case is going to be different for a myriad of reasons. So I'll just give you a perfect example of what I just did. What happened with us, Justin, and this radio station? I literally moved us from a suite and a studio that was not going to fit what I needed to be able to do for my vision, to be able to have this radio station be what I think it can be, right?
Right.
So that was
But
a
we're not a
space-
sports franchise.
No, but it's the same. It's the same
I
thing.
don't necessarily agree with that.
It's the same thing. If I economically cannot make it work in a city and I have an opportunity to move to another city and make it work economically for a myriad of reasons, because state to state, there's different tax structures, there's different fan base support, there's different advertising support, there's differences in every city that you go. I don't think you can force an owner to stay in a bad situation.
So don't buy that team.
Okay, but there's likely a reason why that team's for sale. And in this reason, if you're talking about Portland, it was because the owner died. But there are other reasons that a team is for sale, is because it's not financially viable for them anymore and they can't make the money or they're getting kicked out. So that's my first. I don't think you can force somebody to stay in a situation just because you want to protect the city.
The owner is forced to stay as long as the lease is there. If Tom Dundon had come in and there was a 20-year lease on the Moda Center, he wouldn't be able to move it because it would cost too much to get out. The reason that this is all happening is that they did the bridge agreement a year ago that gave a 5-year lease through 2030. So now a new owner can come in. And you can't tell an owner, hey, you've got to stay here 5 years if there's 2 years left on the lease, because then he's got no negotiating leverage type deal. So you're basically, your lease, where you're staying, is what's determining that. The only, again, if the Moda Center, if Jody Allen and the city had reached a 15-year agreement, Tom Dunn probably wouldn't have bought the team because he wouldn't have had the leverage.
Or
of
nobody
this.
would have bought the team.
Correct. But this was made much easier for a carpetbagger to come in because you could get out of there in the 5 years. So you can't put, hey, you have to stay 5 years just because, again, if you buy it and there's 1 year left on the lease, what do you say? Well, where are we playing the next year? But that also adds to the leverage of the purchase. Tom Dundon probably was more interested in this because he knew that we could move it. So the lease determines how long, and it just happens that he comes into one with 4 years. So if you figure, hey, we're going to haggle over this for a year, and then we'll have a year, maybe I only have to buy out 1 year of the lease, and it's easier to get out than if he'd have had a 15-year lease. It would have been impossible for a man who won't pay for late checkout times to pay for 15 years of a building that he's not going to use.
And Baby J, I understand your point. about protecting a city, and especially one like Portland, a smaller market. It would be the same thing if, like, the Brewers were going to try and leave Milwaukee. To me, I equate it the same way, because what other major sports franchises are in Milwaukee right now? Name me one. There isn't, right? Green Bay used to play there, huh?
The Bucks.
Okay, well, you're right. Sorry. I was discounting the Bucks. Sorry.
Well, they haven't been relevant since 2021. So,
but that's kind of what I'm after is that you can't force somebody into that box, and nobody would then purchase a franchise
unless it's part of the purchase agreement. And that's
Right.
the other part of this, is that I've heard people who said, I'm surprised that Paul Allen didn't have it in his trust that as part of the sale, it has to go to someone who
Who's
will
gonna
make a
keep it.
commitment to stay here.
Yeah.
But that was not written in there, apparently. And I've heard people saying they're surprised that that wasn't in there. And then when Jody Allen takes it over, she has no loyalty to it, so she's not going to put that in there. But I think there have been, in fact, I think it might even been the Milwaukee Bucks when Herb Simon sold it to the current owners. I think there was something in there saying that you have to stay here through the lease, which was like 10 years. So again, that ties in the lease thing too.
Got it.
There is a way for an owner to say a contingent on this sale is you won't leave for X number of years. But again, Portland being the executor of a trustee who was selling it rather than the person who owned it and had their loyalty to the city. Again, maybe we can bark at Paul Allen for not putting it in there, and he knew in his dying days, I'm sure, that that was the possibility.
But Jody Allen and Bert Cole could have put it in there as well.
They could have, but there was no reason. I mean, they didn't have any loyalty to Portland. That was Paul's baby. But I do believe that there have been some where they have, and so it can be part of. And again, maybe you get a lesser sale price for it. If you're telling the guy, hey, you can't move it, then he comes back and says, all right, we'll lower the price because now you're taking away some things. So you can, and then the owner says, hey, I'm more than happy to take $500 million less to know that this town that I've invested in is going to keep having its team. That just wasn't what happened in Portland.
No, I'm with you. And to me, it's kind of a shame that, like, Tom Dundon gets to buy the Blazers because he had the highest offer, and I understand that. And so I don't remember who the second highest. I think it was the Portland.
No, it was the Raj family that owns the Fire and
right. So
and
you would
the
think that they're
Storm.
going to keep him in Portland pretty substantially, and that's the thing. It's like I think it was like $200 million or something like that. The difference between the two, and so $200 million is potentially the difference to one family. By the way, is the difference between potentially the Portland Blazers being in the Portland Trail Blazers being in Portland or going somewhere else. And so I know you want to jump in, Danny. My thing is this: how do we, and I say we as a collective, prevent sports franchises being run like business ventures? Because
can't.
every year and year, but they're just not a regular business. This is
They're too
sports.
expensive now to be that way. Now
And
they're
people just
you just don't have enough people that can purchase it anymore. I mean, in the old days when the team cost, 180,000, you could have had a couple business people who put together enough nickels for it. But even now to get to 4.25 billion, I mean, how many people in this world, if you're selling a team for 4.25, that's why even Dundon had to.
He's got
he
partners.
had to give he had to only buy 80% of it because he had to sell 12% of the Carolina Hurricanes to do it. And I've heard people talking about this, that it's just impossible now to find somebody who can come in and buy a team. It has to be a conglomerate. And like I think Dundon owns technically like 18 to 20% because that they force the governor, the majority person, to have at least 20. But I know what you're saying. But yeah, there's just they've reached a point to where the costs are. It's such a limited pool of people who can purchase it that you can't be as picky as you could have in the old days and said, yeah, I got 4 or 5 bidders. And that's why even Dundon says, why'd you buy it? Well, they told me it was for sale. It's like the NBA had to go to him and say, hey, we don't have a whole lot of people sitting in Portland, Oregon who are willing to buy this team. We got to bring in somebody who's trying to do it. So that's the prices have gotten so high that it's such a small percent of 1% that can actually own a team that's why it's no longer the fan that's buying the team. Hey, I love this team, I'm going to buy him. It now has to be some conglomerate. And these leagues don't want to sell at a lower value because then, like in the NBA, the expansion teams come in and go.
Well, but all the other owners want their wallets improved.
And if they sell their team, they don't want the last team to have gone for 4 when it get gone for 4.25 because they want to sell it for 5.
2 quick points, and it comes back to a couple of years ago where now people are going backwards and saying, why didn't Jody Allen sell it to Phil Knight? Because he did want to buy it and should have. And then the second thing is that's getting lost in this, and you're going to hear their games right here tonight, is where's the Portland Fire in all of this? Because if the Blazers relocate, what happens to the Fire? Are they going to be the only occupants of the Moda Center? And what happens?
Concerts.
And what happens to the Moda Center?
Winterhawks play there. But you're right. I mean, if you lose 41,
Winter Hawks don't play at the Moda Center. They play at the
I think they
Memorial
play a few
Coliseum.
in there. But I'm just saying, you're right. If you lose 41 nights of your greatest revenue generating tenant,
What happens to them?
It's devastating. Correct.
Yeah. So that's another thing I don't think people are thinking about. When we come back, the Monster Energy Big 12, they've got teams are removing the Monster Energy Big 12 teams off their schedules. And so the Monster Energy Big 12, by the way, you have to say Monster Energy Big 12 every time we say it.
I didn't write it on here. My rundown says
Yeah, that was
12.
simply for brevity.
Yeah.
Well, I might speak with brevity.
They're now considering a 10th conference game going the opposite direction. We'll close out the show with that here on The Drive.
Sometimes they're right.
Rest my case.
Sometimes they're wrong.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
But no ears were harmed in the making of their disagreements.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Almost every car made over the last 10 years has a camera. Did you know that when you replace a windshield, the camera needs recalibrated? If your glass provider doesn't fix the camera, you could have issues with...
What about Landon? Okay.
Don't trust some guy in a truck to fix or replace your windshield and then have to make a second appointment to calibrate your camera. You need Olson's Auto Glass, 2041 West 7th Avenue in Eugene. Olson's Auto Glass, repairing windshields since 1938.
I've seen it, I've covered it. I'm Alex Rogers, your local farmer's agent in West Eugene. When you need auto, home, life, or business insurance, Farmers can help you protect everything you've worked so hard to achieve. I really enjoy what I do, and I can help you understand all your coverage options. When I'm your farmer's agent, you're not stuck at the mercy of some computer. I'm your advocate when you need help. Visit my office today at 1154 Garfield Street here in Eugene, or give me a call at 541-284-2804.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 10 million people without destroying your credit. They can reduce your interest rates, lower your total payments up to 50% to get you out of debt fast. For a free consultation, call Consolidated Credit now. The program works.
Call 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107. 800-499-4107.
Consolidated Credit Solutions Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Kansas CSO 0019051. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 892. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission license number DC83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debts may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action. Actual interest rates, length of program, and monthly payment reductions will vary by consumer and creditor. Yours could be higher or lower. Not a loan company. We do not lend money.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council. Nothing is too big for the sports animal to handle. That's what she said. You're home for me, Dan Patrick, 6 to 9 a.m. weekdays, and The Drive with Danny, Steve, and Justin from 3 to 6. This is the sports animal.
There it is. See, it doesn't sound like Lovely Day to you? A little bit?
So I looked it up.
Yeah.
It is not Lovely Day. It is, I believe this little sample here is Rubber Band by the Tramps from 1975.
Danny's mom didn't let him use that word either, by the way.
Tramp?
Yeah.
No.
With 2 M's, by the way.
Oh, not. She'll appreciate you saying that as well. Last segment here on The Drive for a Wednesday, not Wednesday, it's Thursday, weekend eve. Friday program, Big Bets. Goose, you got some ground to make up,
Oh,
dude. You're
I thought
2
we
and
weren't
8.
discussing it. Did I
No.
get one? Oh, I thought it was 1-9.
No,
This is good. I'm
you're
in a good
2 and
mood
8.
now. I'm happy. I thought I was 1-9.
You're happy
I
with
thought
2
I went
and 8?
0-5 last week.
No,
I guess
you're
I
2 and-
snuck one out after I stopped paying attention.
No. Tomorrow on the program, Springfield Drifters manager Jeff Lyle will be in the studio, I guess. Yeah, he's coming
and
in.
they
Great.
finished their season. They got smoked out last night. They finished their season Tuesday, the winningest season in
record
5-year
season for
history.
them.
So very cool.
That's awesome. And then Ducks Rising NIL guru, marketing guy, Travis Ruckley is going to join us on the program. And we're hoping Landon Tegwall as well, because it was supposed to be regular Friday guest for us. So there's lots of reasons to hang out with us tomorrow here on the old radio show. The Drive on the Sports Animal in the Willamette Valley, the Smoky Willamette Valley, and out on the coast at 92.7 KNCU. That's Fox Sports Newport. Dad joke coming up in a minute. Last topic for today is the teams that are moving the Monster Energy Big 12 off their schedule, and the Monster Energy Big 12 considering a 10th conference game. Here's what's interesting about this, because if you do that as a conference, very hard to then go backwards again. Once you move that lever up, like that's why the SEC has been so resistant to doing it for years, to add that 9th conference game, is once you go there, you can't take it back off again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think that, I love the clutching of the pearls, but oh my gosh, they had a quarterback who they didn't suspend, who bet on games. And so now we're so holy and amazing that we're not going to dare play them because they might taint our players by playing this team that had a gambler on it.
Get your stink off me.
So, and if you go to 10, then technically you're playing your 10, right now, everybody's saying, you should add one non-conference against the Power 4. You don't have to do that now. You can just say, hey, we're playing 10 against the Power 4 because they're all in conference. And then
then there's 2 non-cons,
yeah,
though.
then your 2 non-cons are probably going to be your group of 6 type things. I'm assuming, because I doubt it.
Do you think that's a good move then? Because you're playing less non-cons.
Yeah, and if you're, it adds more, yeah, I don't mind it because I think that it's adding more excitement. Those are conference games, and you're going to have, and maybe you don't have to go out and play the SEC and the Big Ten now. You're just kind of playing your own and saying, hey, look, we're playing. And maybe you can, it's your bragging. Again, you're puffing your chest out. It used to be that we heard everybody, including our friend Justin, say, oh, they only play 8 conference games and all these others are playing 9. Now, if you're the Big 12, you're like, hey, we play 10. You guys are only playing 9.
And here's the thing with that then is that the Monster Energy Big 12 will only have one team that will not be on your schedule in your conference.
Right. So the Big
You're
10
playing
too many.
basically everybody.
Yeah, which is great. That's the way it should be. Again, we talked about. Do I have to go through the schedules in the Big Ten again for you today to tell you how they all so
I will
different?
literally throw something at you right now.
But that's great. This is the old Pac-12. Hey, we play 9, so we're playing 9 of the 11. Our schedules, we're determining a real true champion.
I don't disagree
Now we
with
have
that.
it. Hey, these 2 teams played completely different schedules in the same conference.
All right, baby J.
So some notable cancellations include some SEC teams. LSU dropped Arizona State in 29 and 30. Florida canceled games with Arizona State in 28 and 31, and
Everybody's
Alabama
running from Kenny Dillingham.
Alabama canceled its series with Oklahoma State from 28 to 29.
Those could have
well.
been easy wins for Alabama.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer is running away.
Meanwhile,
from
Oregon
the
State
Cowboys.
is playing a Big 12 schedule. The opening is Houston and Texas Tech. They're playing a Big 12 schedule. There you
Very
go.
true. That is very true. Well, so tomorrow on the program, as I said, we'll have a couple of guests, one in studio and a couple outside. Our dad joke for today: you never see penguins in Great Britain because
tuxedos not allowed.
Nope, they're afraid of whales.
Because of the Vikings, right? There's Vikings and Wales.
Waddling or something.
I don't know. Because Wales, W-A-L-E-S.
Right, the country.
Holy smokes. Back on the program now. Thanks for tuning in. God bless. Be well. Put a smile on your face. Someone else's. Stay safe. They deserve it. So do you. Peace.
Ten 50 AM and 102.9 FM and the SportsAnimalEugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to The Drive on the Sports Animal Eugene.
Millions of Americans are glued to their TV weekly.